geeking out. I'm your host Moose. This is my co-host here, the Sleaze. This is our friendly guest over here, another Star Wars geek. He puts the G in Portuguese. Tony.
Punching the mic.
That's good for a show.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be talking about The Last Jedi trailer, and also Rebels, the animated series trailer, and the first 2 episodes that have aired so far. So, before it, we can just run into The Last Jedi trailer right now.
Totally can't hear him.
When I found you, I saw raw, untamed power. And beyond that, something truly special.
Something inside me has always been there. But now it's
we can do
awake,
this anytime. We don't have to hurt you. Actually watch
and I need help.
I've seen this raw strength only once before. It didn't scare me enough then. It does now. Let the past die. Kill it. If you have to. That's the only way to become what you were meant to be. We are the spark that'll light the fire that'll burn the First Order down. Come on! This is not going to go the way you think. Fulfill your destiny.
I need someone
No, that sounds not an STD. It sounds like more like a.
to show me my place in all this.
Rusty tree.
The trailer opens up with Snoke speaks what you think is about Kylo Ren.
I feel like that. You're saying like you think it's about Kylo, but it could be about Rey. I feel like this whole trailer is that.
Yes.
Everything is misdirection in this.
And if
It
you,
is. I feel that too.
If you remember in Force Awakens too, when they're fighting like in the snow and shit like that,
Yeah.
Snoke actually reaches out to Rey
Right.
as well.
Yeah,
So it
exactly.
could be like more of that same scene, just in The Last Jedi.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The that opening scene, that factory, right? Like, did you see the background? What was in the background?
Yeah, I noticed there was a little AT-ATs being built,
Yeah.
and so that just shows like how big that fucking place is. A lot of
Yeah.
people are saying that that's the ship called the Supremacy.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Snoke's ship.
Yeah,
Snoke's right.
Snoke's the First Order like headquarters, essentially.
Do you have the dimensions on that? Like how big it is?
I know it's like miles and miles long. I'm not sure. I don't remember the
supposedly
exact
you could
dimensions.
take, like, 2 Star Destroyers and put them nose to nose, and it's still bigger than that.
Yeah,
And it flies like a
it's like a glider or something almost.
glider.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
What was the name of Vader's ship?
The well, it depends. Some
'Cause I
people
think
say it's the executor
Executor,
or the
yeah.
executor. Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think it's even bigger than that. And
Yeah,
that
it
thing was
definitely
like
is.
twice
Definitely.
the size of a regular Star Destroyer, so it's fucking enormous. Oh, we can swear, right? Fuck.
Yes.
Shit.
Shit dick.
Dicks.
I think we're beyond that.
All right. Because I wouldn't be on this show.
Right. Yeah. I don't think I'd be able to get through it.
So basically that first part happens, and the next scene you'll see big, the new ATM-6s, I believe they're called. Like the gorilla arms, fucking
Yeah,
walking.
I've heard them call that Gorilla AT-AT.
Yeah.
So they, it looks like they're on the planet Crate where the New Order, or the New Republic rather, forces are. Like at the end of Force Awakens,
Okay.
it looks like they're sort of invading that.
Oh, alright.
But if you look closely in the trailer, you actually see an AT-AT next to one of them.
The little one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
I was
like,
going to
so-
bring that up, yeah.
So it shows like how big these fucking things are. And
Yeah.
the theory with the First Order is basically that they're using the small AT-ATs now for scout vehicles.
Scouts, right. And then the Gorilla AT-ATs have some kind of like, I think they're preparing for that
Yeah,
whole trick
yeah,
where
the
they,
tow cable,
they
yeah.
got that, I don't know what you'd call it, like some kind of weird armament that like sticks out.
Looks like it could cut something or something.
Right,
like that.
exactly. Maybe
Yeah.
that thing goes and snaps the cable or something. I don't know.
Yeah, because I was reading something that they deliberately designed them so that wouldn't happen again. So that's why they have all the armoring and stuff that would cut tow cables and everything else.
Right.
That makes
So,
sense.
Yeah, and they're much bigger and much heavier than the old ones. So it's pretty much, if you have a smaller craft, you're not gonna be able to friggin' do that again.
They're definitely way bigger.
Yeah.
That little one came up to the other one's knee, it seemed
Yeah,
like.
Yeah.
yeah.
Crazy.
And you notice Kylo Ren's ship like creeping up above them, like leading them eventually.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's interesting that
He's
he's leading the charge, so to speak.
He's definitely on the scene, taking care of business.
That's probably the pinnacle like battle scene, like during the entire movie.
Towards
Right.
the end.
The
Yeah.
the Hoth scene,
Yeah,
Like they
if
like
you
to-
will.
compared to Empire already.
Well, if you don't mind, while we're comparing it to Empire, that was like one of my favorites of the originals. It's like it was like where all the meat and potatoes was. And
Right.
so I wonder if they're gonna do something like that for this one. You know, like give you a lot of, stab you in the gut and leave you there and be like,
A lot of information on both
is
sides,
Han
sort
Solo
of thing.
dead? Who knows? I don't know. Could
Yeah.
be.
Well, normally the way, and it's not just Star Wars, but normally the way that trilogies work, the second act is always the darkest. It's you introduce everybody in the first one. The second one is they get to basically, their bottomness in the story, and you're gonna wonder how they're gonna get out of it, and they might give a hint of it in the end of it. George Lucas pretty much invented that formula, and what's funny is when he did the prequels, he totally just threw that out the fucking window, because Attack of the Clones was probably one of the worst fucking Star Wars movies there was, but it wasn't dark, and it wasn't like putting them in a dire straits, predicament, where when Revenge of the Sith came in,
Right.
it was the whole, because they were building it up with the, basically with the Anakin and the Obi-Wan fight. So you couldn't, I can understand why he didn't do that formula in that, because Revenge of the Sith, to me, was the in-between between Phantom Menace and Return of the Jedi. So I think that pinnacle was like, fuck, we're all screwed, because, Padme died, and fucking we had to ship the kids off, and, Anakin's Vader, and all that stuff.
I've said for years, I think Episode 1 should have been the beginning of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Because all the meat and potatoes is in the Clone Wars.
Exactly.
Episode 1 should have started the Clone Wars, maybe some flashbacks with Qui-Gon,
Sure.
not so much spending time with him. Then Episode 2 is just balls out, battling,
I mean, you gotta
Dark
think-
Jedi and
Right.
whatever.
If they ended up doing that, they would probably not be able to make the Clone Wars anime series if they had like a lot of those stories in the movie.
Yeah.
Well, I
I
mean,
mean-
you could have elaborated on them. You know what I mean?
I don't think he had that in mind when he.
No, I think it
originally
was an
did
afterthought.
Yeah, it was definitely. He didn't. He. You know who gave him that idea? Oh, I'm gonna mess up his name. Is the same company that did Samurai Jack, Gendy Tartakovsky. If I mess up his name, I apologize. But the same animation company that did Samurai Jack and Powerpuff Girls also did some Clone Wars cartoons. So long before the computer
Yeah,
animated
right.
Clone
It was
Wars.
just like some really cartoony sort of thing.
Those, hands down, were some of the best. I was like, this should be episode 2.
Yeah.
Episode 2 should be episode 1, and this should be episode 2.
Yeah. Right.
Or even when they had before the actual series, when they had the standalone like animated film, that was better than Attack of the Clones. You know, when they had just it was the Clone Wars, and it was just that first. It wasn't part of the episodic, the series, but that was way better than Attack of the Clones. Is a piece of shit to me.
When they're on Christophersis or whatever, when Ahsoka's first meets Anakin and everything.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
That would have made a much better movie.
There's definitely in episode 1 and 2. There's definitely points where I'm like that I like. There's elements that I like,
Right.
but for the most part,
For me,
it leaves a little disappointed.
For me personally, that was me being after the fact of the old movies. Episode 1 was the first movie in the theaters that I could go and actually watch.
Right.
So I have that like connection to it, and I remember, not to get totally off track, but I remember when the fucking VHS came out, I rode my bike in the rain to go pick it up, and I watched it like endlessly because it was a new Star Wars movie for me.
Yeah.
So it was like I'm always like close to it that way. Plus, my favorite character Obi-Wan is a big part of it.
Right.
Yeah. And the new old, trilogy, he was just a pretty small part in A New Hope, and that's pretty much it. You know, he was a Force ghost or whatever here and there, but you see what the hell he can do at a young age then.
Yeah.
Yeah, he took out Darth Maul.
And again, I love Darth Maul, so it's like two of my favorite characters are in episode 1.
Yeah.
Even though there was a lot of like shitty parts to it, but
Do you remember that scene where he takes him out? He like pops up, flips over him, and then cuts him in half. And I mentioned this to Dutch like a few years ago,
Right.
And it's the same move that Anakin tries to do to him at the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Yep.
And like when I sit there and watch it now, I feel like I can see Obi-Wan's wheels turning. Like, kid, don't even fucking try it.
I did this
I
like 2
invented
movies
this
ago.
fucking move, dude.
Yeah. And what's funny is I caught on to that right when I saw it. I'm
Yeah.
like, shit, that's the same exact thing, and he should know, like, Obi-Wan's not going to fall for that shit. You know?
But that was he wasn't wise.
No.
Anakin was not wise. He
No.
was powerful, but he lacked the wisdom to govern.
Yeah, use it when it's needed and
Yeah.
all that sort of thing.
Well, not to get too off track, but that's why, you know, in Revenge of the Sith, when they basically said you could be on the council, but you're not a master. I mean, that was basically them saying, like, you still have a lot to fucking learn. You're still a kid.
It was true though.
Yeah, you're powerful and you have some good insights, but
Kind of a dick.
you're
Yeah,
a
but-
dick.
Plus, Palpatine put his hand in that.
Well, yeah.
And said, "You're going to be part of the council."
Yeah.
And again, got into Jedi affairs, and they'll, you know how the Jedi Council was at the time. They're like, we're doing our own shit. No one's controlling us.
Yeah.
This sort of thing. So that's why they were like, you're on because our so-called leader let you on, but that's, we don't actually make you, you're not really a part of this.
Right.
You know what? When I watch the Clone Wars cartoons and I go back and forth to the movies, I like Anakin a lot in the Clone Wars
Yeah.
cartoons, and in the movie, I'm like, he is such a fucking whiny cunt.
Yeah.
I cannot.
It's
Let's
true.
go back to the Clone Wars cartoons.
Well,
Yeah,
that's one of the complaints about the Clone Wars. They make him like the hero and the good guy all the time, and then in the movies, you see them.
He's a dick.
He's a dick, and he's a whiny bitch, like you said.
Yeah.
He's like almost the total opposite of what they show in Clone Wars.
Right. I feel affection for that character
Yeah.
in
Right.
the cartoon.
Right.
In the movie, I don't know. I mean, I've seen Hayden Christensen in other things. I don't think he's a bad actor, but for some reason, I just did not like that mix.
I mean, he might have did a good job for like what they asked him to do. You don't know the behind the
That's-
scenes sort of thing.
That's a good point.
Well, I actually
Yeah.
do know, and this is a big misconception that people are like, "Oh, you're so wooden," and the fucking acting in those was da da da. George Lucas purposely told them to act like that
Yeah.
because what he was trying to do is, if you look at the original trilogy, obviously it was in the '80s, so you get that hokey bullshit going on. So when you're gonna make basically the older version of that, 30 or 25, 30 years before, you even see Luke Skywalker talking about fucking bullshit. He wanted it to be classic sounding. He wanted it to be monotone. So he was coaching them to basically tone down,
I think.
in a sense, which ruined it. I think in a
I
little bit.
definitely think he fell short.
Yeah.
Especially in those scenes like we're on the balcony.
Oh, it's
and
fucking
he's
horrible.
like, no, you're so beautiful. No, I love you more. I
Yeah.
love you more. I'm like,
Yeah.
Fast forward.
Yes.
Thank God.
So they didn't have to go too far into that. You obviously knew like they fell in love and had kids. Like they didn't have to do
At
as
that
far as
point,
they
I'm
gone.
like, this is
Like
not
them on
fucking-
Naboo and stuff, like rolling in the grass and shit, and jumping on
Those
the
are
animals,
cool,
whatever they're
yeah.
called, and it's just like
Stupid.
why was this in here?
They call the movie Attack of the Clones, and literally the clones don't attack until like the fucking end of the movie.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like what pissed me off about it is, first off, like it always seems to me like it just doesn't fit with all the other movies. Phantom Menace does. Everybody can say what they want about Phantom Menace, but that's a Star Wars movie. Revenge of the Sith is a Star Wars movie, and so are all the other ones. Attack of the Clones just sticks out like a sore thumb to me, where a lot of people, and I've had fights with people on Twitter and shit, like, oh, Phantom Menace is the worst fucking... No, Attack of the Clones is the worst fucking Star Wars movie made, because there was nothing that was really said at the end of that movie. You can't watch it, and then at the end say, oh, okay. You know what I mean? It's just a clusterfuck of...
It doesn't really add anything to the whole story.
No, it doesn't at all.
Aside from, this was a big war,
Right.
and this is what Palpatine putting forward or whatever to essentially get control of the Senate and everything.
Yeah.
But who gives a shit? You know that
Yeah,
happens.
That could have all been done in flashback.
Like the first
Exactly.
one, you see
Exactly.
Darth Vader as a kid and why he became a Jedi.
Right.
Because of Qui-Gon, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And, Obi-Wan being who he is, essentially, being loyal to Qui-Gon, was like, okay, I'll fucking teach him, even though
Right.
you're dead.
Right.
Yeah. It was kind of like, oh, I kind of have to, because...
Right.
Yeah.
But again, the council let it too. They didn't have to. So as a last memento to Qui-Gon, I think they're like, okay, we'll do this because he wanted it, even though they didn't agree with it at first.
Did you know that was one of the only times that the council went against, voted against what Yoda wanted?
Yes.
That's why he was like, we're going to let you do it anyway. That was messed up. So let me ask you one question. So do you feel episode 1 should have started where episode 2 ended? That's how I felt. Like it should have started right at the beginning, and then kind of allude to all the stuff that led up to it in flashbacks or whatever. I think it should have started. The Clone Wars should have started episode 1 with the Clone Wars. Like the war,
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. But I also think all the subject matter in episode 2 probably could have either been included in episode 1 or episode 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They could have just taken away all the rolling around the grass and talking about fucking sand and
Yes.
all that shit. They could have just made it simplified where, I mean, the whole movie to me feels like a fucking creepy kid that's obsessed with a girl. That's what I
Are
get
you
from
an
the end of the-
angel?
He
Yeah.
says, even from day one, he said
It's just-
mad creepy shit.
Yeah,
to her.
so I
Definitely.
think episode 1, I think they should have introduced Anakin. They should have introduced the whole Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan stuff. In the background, the Clone Wars should have been happening. Just automatically.
Yeah.
That should have been a back thought in the first movie. The second movie should have been, boom, Clone Wars. Real serious, just, if you're going to call it Attack of the Clones, then the whole movie should have been the war.
Yeah.
We should have been 3 years into the war at that point.
No, what would have been good is again, I like the first movie. I know I'm gonna get fucking shit for this, but because it shows Palpatine starting out.
Yes.
He is just a senator of Naboo at the time.
Right.
And then he's like, oh, maybe you should get that fucking Chancellor out of here. Talking to Padme at the time.
Right.
Because he's not strong. Look at the bureaucrats talking in his ear.
Yeah.
And that essentially moved forward because she wanted her fucking planet protected.
Right.
And moved forward to him becoming Chancellor. And then that shows his cunning and all that shit. And essentially that's one of the first, well, in a while, probably one of the first attacks on a planet when he gives command to New Gunray and the other fucking douchebags of the Trade Federation to attack Naboo. So he puts all these wheels in motion, and you see that happening early. If they would have put the end of the Clone Wars movie at the end of episode 1 and had the actual episode 2 all Clone Wars shit, I think it would have been fucking great.
So the war starts at the
Right,
end of
the war
episode-
starts.
No, yeah, you know what? I think.
Well,
you're
yeah,
right.
it makes
I
sense
think
with the
you're right
whole
about that,
Federation.
yeah.
I mean,
That's better than what I was saying.
the invasion of Naboo and stuff. That does make makes sense.
Yeah.
Because even that too, I mean, this turned into a whole Attack of the Clones shitfest.
Yeah.
But
We'll
basically,
get back to the trailer.
right. But basically, even like in Attack of the Clones, I feel, yeah, like heavy it should have been right, like I said, a year or two into the fucking war where it's deep. And by then, Palpatine should have been Sidious. And we had to wait until basically Revenge of the Sith to really see Sidious, too, because he was sort of like a still up-and-coming Sith Lord in Attack of the Clones.
You saw little flashes, like when he was
Right.
talking to Maul or whatever. But yeah, you didn't really see like
Right.
Sidious full effect. I'm gonna kill some Jedi.
Right.
I mean, I feel about Sidious how I felt about Obi-Wan before the original 1, 2, and 3 came out. Meaning that this guy is powerful as shit, but you don't see anything like that.
Right.
And the only time you see that is in Revenge of the Sith.
Right.
Like, they should have
Right.
did a lot more with him. He's like the main villain, so to speak, in this whole fucking thing.
Right.
Like, Darth Vader's awesome and everything, but he has a better fucking story, in my opinion.
He does. He actually does. And if you read, and what I'm loving too, going forward into the new stuff, is you can see little glimpses of, even though they got rid of the EU, you can see little glimpses of shit that they're pulling, from it. And I would have loved to have seen more of a backstory on Palpatine, as far as like Plagueis and how he actually became Sidious. You know what I mean?
They released that book. Did you read that book?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I've listened to it probably half a dozen times, but
Yeah.
no, it doesn't count. I mean, Plagueis isn't even necessarily whatever. What is it? Moon, whatever that was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
some
not even.
races,
I mean, the only like catatonic, is that how you say catatonic? Maybe, I don't know. The only thing that's canon is basically
canon.
the discussion that Palpatine and Anakin have, at the Opera House and all that stuff. But yeah, you don't
Right.
even know.
Well, that happened in the movie, so it's
Right, so
automatic.
that's
Right.
so Plagueis technically is canon,
Right.
But like you said,
But-
like his species and all that stuff that was physically in the book, or even like the the whole training of Palpatine and how he became an apprentice, and that's not
No.
the name is actually canon, but that's fucking
Yeah, that book was, I think, James Luceno. He's written quite a few
Yes.
Star Wars books.
Yeah,
It's hit and miss though. Like, some of them I really liked, and some of them I'm like,
yeah.
But yeah.
And going back to like an earlier conversation, like basically episode 1, 2, and 3, the end is obviously fucking bad, evil, whatever, and then there's light at the end of fucking 4, 5, and 6. I'm wondering how these 3 movies are going to end. Because I don't think they have any plans to make another trilogy, but is this going to be the obvious thing, bad at the end, or if it's going to be good, or is it going to be gray, or whatever, you know what I mean? It's hard to see where they're going with it.
I don't know how they're gonna. Yeah, that's a good question. But I was under the impression that they were like every other year they do a number movie, like.
Right.
So what would after this? What were they gonna do? 10, 11, and 12 would be after this. So like 1 year is a standalone, 1 year is a numbered movie, 1 year is so.
But I think they only have plans to do 7, 8, and 9 right now.
Oh,
Well,
And they have
there is
3 solo movies.
so it's not.
Right.
They're not going indefinitely with that. With the numbered movies.
As far as unless something else was announced, I read or
no.
heard.
The only thing I read was there's a rumor that they are going to make a trilogy, but it's actually going to be of the Old Republic, which would be fucking
That is fucking
fantastic.
great.
And the reason why this person was saying that is A, he has ties to Lucasfilm, and then B, they're going to introduce so much stuff in the next 2 episodic films that's going to make you think like, shit, what happened? You know what I mean? So they're going to actually take those subject matters and make a whole trilogy out of that.
So how Old Republic? Like Old Republic or Old Republic? Video
that
game
they don't
Old
know.
Republic?
Like
Okay,
battery powered lightsaber, Republic.
Because if they screw up, I know technically it doesn't count as canon, but the movies hasn't touched anything to do with Revan
Nothing.
and that
Right.
old time frame. So if they're gonna
Mandalorian
go
Wars
Old
or anything.
Republic, I prefer them to stay a little bit more closer to the time frame of the movies.
Old
within the
canon or whatever.
Within the last 100, like in between Darth Bane, the 1,000 years between Darth Bane and Sidious. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see them start with Darth Bane and move
So
their
that's the
way
only
through
time, so to speak, that there's no information or very little.
that. Right, because Darth Bane is the one that created the rule of two.
Right.
Blah blah blah. So that's what I want to see. Like, how did you get to this point with Sidious? Well, it took 1,000 years.
I'd love to
and
see that story.
many and those that whatever generations of Sith Lords that came.
Mm-hmm.
Yada yada yada.
Like I have the Darth Bane trilogy books.
Yeah,
and they were fantastic, and I would love to see just that as a trilogy. But I mean, you could take, and I was thinking of that too. If they're going to go an Old Republic thing, I was thinking the same exact timeline. Just basically when Darth Bane came into play, he wiped out the Sith, started the rule of two. I mean, you could do the whole Darth Bane story, if you will, because you can do time jumps in it just to fit everything in. You could do that as a first movie, and then chronologically, you could sit there. Like I'm a super dork when it comes to the old shit, not so much. Like after, like all the books after Return of the Jedi. I thought a lot of those were shit. But they do have like a chronological, like here was Darth Bane, and then his apprentice Xana, and then her apprentice, and then his apprentice, and right up until Sidious. So
Right.
I would like to see if they could fit it all into 3 movies. Like a whole Darth Bane would be the first movie, and then maybe just the in-between, and then maybe at the end you would see like a Plagueis Sidious movie.
I'd like to see a trilogy for a bunch of them. Like, give me a trilogy of Darth Bane. Give me a trilogy of Xana.
I mean, they could even do
and a few in between.
Right.
like a standalone, like they're doing with Han Solo and stuff like that.
Yeah,
which
I'll
would be
take
fucking
that, yeah.
sweet.
Yeah.
You got to think though, is if they did something in that time frame, like you hear in episode 1, a Sith Lord has not been killed in 1,000 years or whatever. The Sith aren't around. Like, are they just gonna be working behind the scenes?
Exactly.
Like how
Exactly,
they're not
yeah.
gonna, it's fucking Disney. They're not gonna make a really dark trilogy or a movie.
Well, they killed everybody at the end of Rogue One.
Yeah, that was a
they're
pretty dark
definitely-
movie.
That was,
if
yeah,
you
that
really
was-
think about
I
it.
mean, that was kind of it's.
But it's
kinda one of
not
my
Sith
favorites
Lord
now.
like
Yeah.
darkness like behind the scenes. I mean, I would love to see it, but I just do not see it coming out.
Well, I mean, even if you look at the prequels, you know what I mean? I mean, it started off all, Bubblegums and Jar Jar Binks. And then in the end, it was basically like, okay, well,
It got
in
dark,
a sense,
yeah.
it got real fucking dark.
It grew up.
Yeah.
But when
And,
it was,
yeah, and that's one thing I can appreciate from the trilogy, the prequel trilogy, is because you do take the ride like, okay, I'm a child in the beginning, and then I'm a fucking man at the end. Because, I mean, that was the story. Is
What was left of them?
Yeah, but it was, you could see it, and there was a feeling of it, because if anything Attack of the Clones did, is it showed the angst of like a fucking teenager.
Right.
Yeah.
Like he's horny as shit, he's pissed off, he's dumb where he jumps in and gets his fucking arm cut off. So it does tell that story, and I think that's the only good thing out of it.
I think not to cut you off.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it actually tells a better story than people realize as well. Is exactly what is wrong with the Jedi Council at the time,
Yeah.
or the Jedi Order, is because this guy has lust for this girl, and he's hiding it throughout all the movies, essentially.
Yeah.
And that essentially pushes him to jealousy and pushes him to the dark side, because he wants to save her, because he gets his premonitions, force
and you can relate
views
to that.
or whatever.
Like, everybody can relate. Yeah, I want to save my family. I want to save my wife, kids.
Right.
Like, anybody can relate to that.
And
That's a
this guy that
universal-
has been essentially my mentor my whole life has told me, I can help you. Okay. How are you?
Right.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay. You've been helping me since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
It's so I think that's, again, the Jedi Council, Jedi in general got really cocky and just, essentially went against what got them there in power in the first place.
Right. And there's even a lot of like old books that will sort of tell you the beginnings of the Jedi, and if you read those and just follow up to basically the prequels, they really got fucking conceited, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
and a lot of their outlooks were just out the fucking.
I like the
window.
take they Karen Travis took in the old Republic Commando novels.
Right.
Get back to what you said though. When you take in the collective wisdom of the Jedi Council, how is it that nobody was like, do you really think it's a good idea to send 2 teenagers off to the most romantic, beautiful fucking planet in the galaxy?
No shit.
Oh, you know her, so you should go hang out.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I can sense if someone's around the corner, but I can't sense the love between them two.
And
Or
I
at least the lust from emanating
Right.
from creepy Anakin.
Right, and I always thought that too. Like Obi-Wan is this, hugely powerful thing, but he can't sense that, basically his apprentice has a fucking hard on every time she comes by.
Yeah.
Like, give me a break.
Especially they push that forward a lot more in the Clone Wars animated series.
Oh yeah,
Like
Yeah.
he almost kills someone essentially.
yeah,
Because he thinks like they're together.
yeah,
I think one of the senators, I forgot his name, but
Did he?
yeah, he like literally like almost punched him to death, and like fucking Padme had to pull him off.
Which one?
What the fuck? The guy that became head of the banking clan is eventually. I can't think of his name.
I was forgetting
That
who
guy
it
a
was.
fucking douche.
He was a douche. I agree, but they had Padme and him had a history of whatever.
Yeah.
So of course
Yeah.
that
Hand
yes,
jobs.
whatever. She was a piece. So
Yeah. You could tell she was into it a little for the fact that Anakin was jealous.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? It's just friends.
Yeah.
It's my job. She was definitely trying to piss
give
him
this
off.
pussy.
Fucking women love that. Oh, you jealous? Let me make it worse.
All right, you guys want to get back on the trailer? You have anything else to bring up?
Yeah, let's get to the trailer. I want to get to that next scene.
All right, so the next scene is essentially Kylo Ren leading the First Order troops through like looks like a tunnel or cave or
Yeah.
something. One thing I noticed, and I'm sure a lot of people other, is very reminiscent of
Yes. I know exactly
when
what you mean.
fucking Anakin's leading the stormtroopers
Yeah,
in the Jedi Temple.
Yes.
Like, of course, that was on purpose, why they viewed it that way, but it's just like, is he doing that to copy his fucking, like, his grandfather? Like, did he see the videotape or something?
I
Or
think,
it's just,
I just
like,
think
totally
it was
coincidental?
Yeah, I think it was a behind-the-scenes like little Easter egg thing.
Yeah, it was like,
Yeah.
you're a Star Wars fan? Here you go.
Yeah.
definitely think it was contrived by the filmmaker to
Right,
do that,
right.
to make you feel that way.
But it's still cool because you would think, okay, maybe he has, like, connection with his grandfather, like he saw, like, the hidden tapes that they so-called deleted or whatever.
It reminds me of that that speech, not a speech, but that little blurb of Lucas saying, well, the movies are kind of like an echo of each other and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's one of those scenes
Right.
where it's supposed to be an echo. Where do you think they're going? What is that? It's
I mean, it
red.
seemed- Well, the red looks like, because the way the crate is, the planet, there's white dust, and under it's like the red clay. So when you see that ship like bouncing off the ground, when you see the ATMXs, whatever they're called, walking, you see the red clay bounce up.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It's dirt.
So it looks like he's going into probably
So
maybe their
that's
headquarters.
his whatever you call it, not boarding party, but that's his.
Right.
So he's landed. He's
That's
okay,
what it
I see
seems
what's
like.
going on
Yeah.
there, yeah.
It could be true.
So that's
I mean,
that
they
same
could.
planet.
It seems like it, but
Alright.
of course, I haven't seen the fucking movie, so who knows?
Yeah.
All right. You then see Kylo picking up his lightsaber in like all red room, which is awesome fucking filmmaking. Like, I just love all the red in this like trailer.
Yeah.
So that-
Yeah, I like the contrast when it goes from red to him to the next one.
And in the
Where it's all
background,
blue. Sorry.
you act. Go ahead. Yeah.
But I was gonna say, like, I love how they go the contrast with him. It's all red, and then they go to Rey. She lights her lightsaber. It's all blue.
Right.
I don't know.
In the background in that room, you actually see a Praetorian Guard. I think I'm saying it correctly.
Yeah, yeah.
The
yeah,
guys
yeah.
with like the red fucking things. They're
Yeah.
essentially the Imperial Guards of this this time or whatever. And they're actually like Snoke's personal bodyguards.
What do you think is gonna happen there?
I know. I know they actually fight a lot, and I hope they do more than get thrown into a wall by Yoda in the movies.
Yeah, what a
That'd be
disappointment.
fantastic.
Do you think
But-
Kylo is about to like square off with them? In
One
that
one
room?
theory I've read is that because of Kylo's failure, Snoke makes him fight them to get better.
Oh, I think I read that one too.
If that's true or not, obviously we haven't seen the movie.
That would be
See.
good.
But it would be cool because you see those fucking Imperial Guards throughout all the movies. Like, these guys are fucking awesome.
Yeah, you want
And
to
the
see
one
him
time they
something.
do anything, again, Yoda's just like, oh, fuck you. And throws them against the wall, and that's all that happens.
Mm.
So supposedly there's only 8 of them. which could be pretty fucking awesome throughout the movies. To have like a countdown, like, oh well, they killed one or something. No, there's only 7, and then like, if that is a thing, I'm not sure. Like if they're gonna kill one off at a time or what the case may be, but
Well, the rumor is too is that all those guards are all the Knights of Ren. So that would be cool too, because that could tie him into that. Because after The Force Awakens, everyone's like, well, who the fuck are these Knights of Ren? And like everybody was into them. So that is the rumor, is that basically, because what you say there were 7? And
I think 8.
Yeah, I think there were
supposedly.
7 or 8 Knights of Ren too. Not including Kalo. So that, yeah. So that would be cool if they actually brought them in as a fucking, basically a ninja squad.
Right.
I feel they're different.
They look
it's a
amazing.
different group of people. Yeah. The Knights of Ren seem to. There's something in the Rebels cartoon where they go back and they find some Knights of Ren and they have those cross guard swords.
Right.
The Praetorian guards, their fighting style, I think, is different. They get those staffs. I'm gonna hedge my money on that. It's a different group. I think.
Yeah.
2 totally different groups.
Yeah, I'd be interested if it was a whole new group, because then it's a whole new story and stuff like that. I don't know how much they're going to get into it. But then, like, on the other hand, I could sort of see, like, if they were going to do, like, the Knights of Ren thing, if they did it, like
They
you said,
changed costume or something.
Right. I mean, they did have, like, a little story in Rebels, so they would have to follow something with that and be creative as to why they would become, whatever. But,
I think it was just like a little splinter group of the Jedi, and they went off and their little trademark thing was those cross-guard lightsabers,
Right.
and I don't know. I think they're just trying to tie it all together. It's just one MacGuffin to get it all into one.
Yeah, I think this movie is going to answer a lot of questions and sort of get the trilogy in a path that you can sort of see is going to end one way or the other.
I hope they answer the questions with things that make you go, "No, what the fuck does that mean?"
yeah.
I hope they don't get, not to get too far off topic again, I hope they don't do the obvious things, which we'll get to later on. I'll bring that back up.
Right.
But so anyway, so the next one, well, the end of Force Awakens, you see Rey hand in Luke the lightsaber. In this trailer, you actually see Luke take the lightsaber.
Right.
And
See his-
yeah, that alone isn't that fucking great, but you see his metal hand,
the carbon scoring.
you see the carbon scoring, which rolls back to what people think Return of the Jedi, when he gets shot on Jabba's barge, like when he's holding the lightsaber up.
Right.
Another fact, or thing interesting, or whatever you want to say, is he doesn't have his fucking flesh on his hand,
Right.
which he had.
Oh, I saw a theory that maybe it burnt off in that other part of the.
Like when it's
trailer.
burning and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I
So
saw
when
that
he's
too.
coming up, he's not in that fire. He's somewhere else.
It looks like he's in some hideout or something, like, or either that or like a maybe underground tunnel or something.
Something happened to him prior to the Knights attacking that building and setting it on fire.
I mean, maybe because it was Kylo, but you got to think if this is so-called the strongest Jedi ever.
Luke.
Yes, Luke.
Yeah.
He could whoop all their asses pretty easily, even if
Should
there was
be
10 of them.
able to, yeah. that
If
makes
like
sense.
he's even a fraction of the EU Luke that people know.
Well, there was, I was listening to another podcast before I came over, and they were talking about the same exact thing. And everybody, and I think it's just a, it's just a thing that's in every Star Wars fan, is that they're expecting Luke to be this badass, fucking super Jedi. You know what I mean?
Shouldn't he, though?
But that's what you'd expect.
Yeah.
But here's something to think about, is that he was rushed into fucking training.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
He didn't go through all the trials and tribulations that all the Jedi went through. Okay. I'm not totally convinced that he is what they call the chosen one. It made you think that Anakin was, and then Yoda says something like, well, maybe he's not. So then it makes you think that Luke is, and da-da-da. I am under the impression, and I'm just doing this to make it more interesting for myself, and it made sense when I was listening to it today, is that maybe he's not that super Jedi. And maybe that's why he is the way he is now, because he attempted to be like the Obi-Wan. and he attempted to be the Yoda, and he just was never that powerful. You know, if you see him in, you know, Return of the Jedi and he's fighting Vader and shit, there was nothing really extraordinary that he did. And I think that's what makes you want, like, oh shit, I want to see Luke fucking kick some ass. But what if he's just not that great?
Aside
You know,
from
and
when,
that's why he gets his ass whipped by fucking Kalo in the Knights of Ren. And goes into
He
hiding.
definitely wasn't as powerful as Rey was in this last movie.
Right.
Rey, like, and I wonder if remember the Exile from the Knights of the Old Republic
Yes.
video game, the second one.
Mhm.
Remember how they took her powers and she had to get them all back? I wonder if they're doing something like that with Rey. Like, did she already know shit?
I have a whole thing on that.
and then just forgot about it or whatever.
Right.
So I don't know.
she could have bumped her head or something. Who knows?
She has memories from when she was a little kid, and they leave her on the planet. So I kind of feel like I can debunk my own little theory, but it's a theory. It's out there. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you've Jedi mind trick or something to the extreme. Could have
Right.
just been like, I'm gonna wipe out from your whatever age she is, 8 to
yeah,
15 or whatever that she remembers to.
maybe even I'm gonna write this new story. Put
Yeah.
that there.
I mean,
I don't know. Who knows? what they
Like
can
maybe
do.
we'll find out her backstory further.
Mm.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And if you really think about it, go back to The Force Awakens. All of a sudden, she just like picked up shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like when you got introduced to Luke, it took him a while to like be able to blast, fucking do lightsaber shit and block blasts and fucking lift up rocks. And it seems like in The Force Awakens, she grabbed a lightsaber and she's like, well, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
Well-
And it was like she had, the whole scene with her and Kalo where the fucking lightsaber you thought was going to him and it actually went to her. That makes a lot of sense. That she has that.
That
you know?
scene is ripped right out of the books.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Solo has a dream where there's this lightsaber and it's coming right at him, and it somehow just goes right past him and it goes to his sister, I think, in the dream. And
Yeah.
she later becomes what they call in the books the sword of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Rey. I think the fact that Rey was definitely a fighter prior to picking up
Well, I mean,
the
yeah,
lightsaber. I mean, in putting it in like RPG terms, I don't think she was like a level 1. She was at least a level 5, maybe.
Well, you
something.
figure too.
Maybe
Finn-
Kylo's a 10.
Finn
7.
actually hit fucking Kylo Ren too.
Yeah,
and
well,
that
he's a
lightsaber duel.
fighter too. He's got training
But I'm
too.
just saying, and
Yeah.
you don't know. You really, from what you see, you really don't know Kylo Ren's strength.
Right.
No.
Aside from him doing that fucking awesome thing, holding that blaster bolt for like 10 minutes, like when they first attack,
Badass.
which is fucking awesome. You don't
Yeah.
see that power in the fucking any of the movies.
I think the fact that he got shot with the bowcaster,
Yeah.
which sent stormtroopers flying through the air, the fact that he took it and went, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that kind of attests to it too. Like maybe he is a super badass, and the fact that he got that hurt
I'm so glad
gave
they
those
put that
guys
into.
a chance.
Yeah.
Gave Rey and him a chance. What do you think about the theory that Rey is another virgin in the Force, just like Anakin was? Like basically the reincarnated Anakin.
I mean, this could stem out to a lot of freaking conversation, which is fine.
Yeah.
But like, who's her father? Who's not her father?
Yeah.
Where could she
I
come
don't-
from?
I don't want
You
to
know
get
what I
into
mean?
that.
I mean, we can get down that road if you guys want right now or later on.
We could, because I actually have like a good. I think I have a good theory as to where they're going here, and it sort of dips into the non-canon shit, if you will, because there's a story of, and you see it in the film. There's a story that the Jedi started because there was a tree, and basically it was a force tree, which you see basically in the
That burnt
trailer.
out one, yeah.
And the tree spawned basically what they call the Father, which was in, I think it was the Clone Wars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Two aspects.
Yeah, and there was, and they, when they did it in the Clone Wars, they pulled that from stories too, which is an excellent story, I think. But basically, the father had two kids, the son and the daughter. The daughter was the light, the son was the dark side of the Force. Now, culminating this entire story, the Jedi. The reason why I think in the first trailer where you see that Luke says the Jedi have to end is because I feel that the Jedi took their knowledge of the Force and just made it their own. You know what I mean? and I'm not getting fucking political or religious or anything like that. It's almost like the Catholic Church. They took what Jesus said and they made their own shit up. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I think that's what happens. And when I think overall, when they talk about balance of the Force, it's you have to have balance with the dark side and the light side. It's not just balance of the Force isn't just eliminating the dark and having the light. And I think the Jedi misconstrued that over the years, where you have to have that balance. You have to have the gray. And that's basically the story of the father, the daughter, and the son, is that the son was trying to kill the daughter to make it all dark, and the daughter was trying to make it just all light, and the father was trying to basically teach them that you have to have balance with it.
Right.
So the whole prophecy of the Chosen One was whenever this was going out of balance, and it makes sense with Anakin if you really sit there and think about his story, is that he was a good person. He had good intentions, but then he was an evil motherfucker on the other hand.
Like the ends justified his means,
Right.
but they did.
So the purpose of the Chosen One was basically the Force. When it felt like there needed to be balance, they would produce the Chosen One, and the Chosen One was supposed
Right.
to come
Oh yeah, I remember that part.
and
Yeah.
make balance. Anakin never did that. The stories you tell, well, they told and stuff, you would think like, oh, Return of the Jedi, great, they brought balance to the Force and da-da-da. No, they didn't, because
they?
now we go up into the Force Awakens, and the dark side, it's basically still here.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that, in a sense, Kalo and fucking Rey are the daughter and the son. And I think this whole story
Oh.
is basically them balancing the Force.
Not necessarily Luke Skywalker's son, Obi-Wan's son.
No.
But
The
they
Force.
represent those archetypes.
Right.
Archetypes. Those opposing yin-yang
Yes.
kind of vibe. Oh, I like
And
that.
I think the whole story is that Luke figured that out. Is that he sought out, to rebuild the Jedi and shit, and stumbled upon Atu and saw, the books and everything you see in the trailers, and said, shit, this is all wrong. You know what I mean? And I think with him trying to train, Ben Solo, and I'm believing Rey at the same time, he found that they were both fucking strong. So he was thinking to himself, well, they're going to destroy each other, or one's going to destroy the other, and this is going to keep going on and on. So that's why he wanted to annihilate basically the Jedi teachings. And I think in the end of this trilogy, it's going to be them balancing the Force. I think like a lot of the things you see in this trailer, with you thinking that he's going to kill Leia, or maybe that Rey's asking him for advice and stuff like that. I think it's all that gray matter that's being created right now. Like I think, sort of in the end, I think Kylo Ren is going to look at himself and be like, this isn't the way that I'm supposed to be, and this isn't the way that Vader was supposed to be, where there's supposed to be some kind of balance.
Yeah, I think he felt that he was going to obtain some kind of greater power when he killed Han Solo.
Yeah.
Like the dark side leads to the power.
And he didn't get that.
No, because that wasn't. I don't think he wanted to kill his father.
No.
He wanted to get that power, and he felt that that's what he needed to do.
He felt that would just rid him of any like emotional connection that was to him like weakness, basically.
Right. Exactly.
And back to the Anakin Clone Wars thing. I remember the father or whoever asked him to stay there to like become the new father, so to speak.
Yep.
And he was like, "No, I gotta leave. Padme needs me," or whatever the hell it was.
Yep.
So like, if he would have
Only
stayed
Jedi
there,
getting laid. I'm not staying.
Yeah.
Screw this.
so he could have stayed there and essentially maybe became his prophecy fulfilled or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was when that was the first step to darkness or whatever, maybe.
And here's another theory I have.
Not the first step.
No, not
He's
the first
definitely-
step,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm just saying, like, that was like, oh, you might make it. Oh, no, you're not.
Yeah.
And here's another theory I have, because everyone's like, well, who the fuck is Snoke? Is he Plagueis? Is he this and that? And, they keep telling us, no, he's a brand new character and all this shit.
But he's seen the rise and fall of the Empire.
Right.
So what's up with that?
So I think that he is the physical son. I think he is the physical son. The son from the beginning. That he survived throughout the whole thing. Somehow there was a story that either the daughter got killed or something that wasn't told, and I think he was the one from the
I
beginning.
think she actually dies in the episode, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
So I think that
And
he
the
is the
son
physical
lives?
son.
The son
yeah,
lives?
The son lives.
But can they? How can two manifestations of the sun exist at the same time?
That's the part that's not making sense in my skull. But that's the. I mean, I've been thinking of like, well, who the fuck is Snoke? Is it as simple
Is he the
as
father,
he could be the father? You know what I mean?
or a manifestation of the father? I mean,
But I
not
mean, the
necessarily
father's
father.
character to me was a great character.
It was the balance.
Definitely.
Yeah, he was the balance. So I
Yeah,
don't.
you're right.
If anything, if they're gonna pull this, I think that he would maybe be the physical. Maybe he would be the physical son. And if you notice, there's little hints of this too. If you notice the hologram of Snoke in A Force Awakens, and notice his scarring, and I just read something online. I'm like, shit, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
His scarring seems less in this.
It definitely does.
So
There's a theory that he's sucking the life force out of like
Right.
other Jedi or force sensitive
Right.
people. Yeah.
So maybe there's a part of the story which would be fucking interesting, that he is the physical manifest. He was the first son, okay, and he's seen everything, okay, and he's lived off in the farthest reaches of space and da da da. So maybe the Force figured like, well, we got to make balance, and this guy's just going to destroy the entire fucking universe. So we're going to make more, daughters and sons or chosen ones and blah blah blah. So slowly, I think he started dying.
All right.
So then I think, like, this is how they could tie in the Old Republic. The story of Revan and Malik is that they went off to the far reaches of the galaxy.
The unknown
and they
regions
found
looking
some-
for the Sith Empire, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe they found the Sith Empire. You know
They
what I
definitely
mean?
did, yeah.
Yep. And maybe Snoke was the fucking Emperor, the all-powerful Emperor.
Oh, that Emperor.
Yes.
I definitely will go in on with you with that.
Yes.
I will hedge my bets on that
Yeah.
one. That he could possibly. I was thinking about that a couple of weeks ago. Actually, It's funny you bring that up.
Yep.
Because that Emperor has been dying and coming back for
Dying and
centuries.
coming back and
Right.
dying.
He's
yes.
actually like. He's like kind of on par with Galactus. He's literally ate a fucking whole planet
Yes.
to keep himself alive.
Yes.
So. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, because they had a side-by-side picture of him as a hologram and him in this, and yeah, his scars are like shrinking.
Definitely.
So I think
that
he's-
is definitely true.
He's
yeah.
building the power and building the power because he's causing all this fucking dark side bullshit.
He's like a soul vampire.
Yeah, yeah, almost like Darth. What was it, Nautilus?
Nihilist, not
Nihilus,
Nihilist.
yeah.
Yeah.
Where he could just suck the life force out of an entire planet.
Yeah. Oh, like a new version of Nihilist.
Yeah.
So maybe he's
So I
not
mean, if they, I mean, that's my thought process on it.
Yeah, I
And
like
it would
that
be cool
theory.
if they went with it, or it'd be cool if they went somewhere totally fucking different. But I think a lot of the shit that, like Snoke's identity and, the reason why fucking Kalo is conflicted, and that I hope that a lot of this is, told during this movie.
So most of the Twitter feedback you get is going to be about your brother saying Kalo.
Yes.
Kalo Ren.
Kalo.
Hashtag.
Kalo Ray.
Yeah.
Hashtag Kalo Ren.
With a big A. Oh shit! All right, where are we going next on this?
So the next important scene, or whatever you want to say, is when Luke mentions he saw the raw strength once before. You obviously assume that it's Kylo Ren, I would think. Kylo Ray.
It's a calamite.
So what do you guys think? Do you think it's just as obvious that it is Kylo Ren? Kylo Ray, whatever you want to call him?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah,
He
that
was
was just
talking
obvious.
about Kylo Ren, and he feels that Rey is just as powerful, if not more.
Right.
And he wasn't scared before, but now he's older and wiser, and he's like,
Yeah. He saw where it led, so to speak.
homie, don't play that.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that is going to stop Luke to want to train Rey?
I think it'll make him apprehensive, but obviously he's not going to stop. He's definitely going to train her. You see him training her on that like cliff top.
But
which
again,
is
that
sort
could
of-
have been before her raw strength moment.
Oh,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
some people say, and I guess it could be, that last scene in the trailer, not that we're going to go that far forward rather, is her like pleading to him a last plea to like train me when maybe he says like I don't want to or no or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that could be a last plea to say, okay, train me please, I need someone to do it.
Her and Kylo are definitely not in the same fucking
No,
movie.
definitely
That's
not.
it.
Definitely
That's
not.
bullshit.
No,
Another
I'm fucking with you
big,
with that.
huge misdirection for that trailer. But anyway, I like that. I like that a lot. I think you're totally on point with that.
Because this trailer, you know, I'm not gonna be original saying this. Everyone says this is just a trailer to fucking throw you off
Yeah.
and make things like seem one way, and in reality, it could be totally different.
Luke fucking says it. He says it's not what you think. This is not gonna go down how you think this is gonna go down.
Yeah.
I mean, they literally fucking say that to you in the
Right.
trailer.
Yeah.
Which, just to get off track for 1 second, reminds me of the part in the beginning of Force Awakens where the old dude's like, this should start to make things right. Like, we're going to try and fix that big fuck up. That
Yeah.
was the trilogy there, the prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
Then we're gonna do the same thing as New Hope
Yeah, they were
and
just
put these plans in a droid.
Yeah.
Oh, it was that kind of like...
That was a reboot of A New Hope.
I mean, fucking every beat.
Yeah.
Like, oh, and put the plans in the droids. There's a new fucking Death Star. It's like, at the end of that movie, I was like, if I have never seen A New Hope, this movie was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But I've seen A New Hope, so I've kind of already seen a big chunk of this movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, as a standalone, The Force Awakens was awesome. But the fact that there's so many beats that they took exactly from A New Hope was kind of...
Yeah.
It was a
Definitely
safe
kinda
movie.
lame, yeah.
I still enjoyed it, but I mean they could have.
It's different. The Death Star was way bigger this
Yeah,
time.
it was way scarier.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anything was really stupid about that movie, it was the whole Death Star ripoff. It's like, really, you couldn't think of anything else
Yeah.
besides a planet killer that's bigger.
Well,
Like-
this is a galaxy killer now. I shot more than one planet at a time, but
right, but come
still,
on.
it's still the same sort of
Come on.
thing.
There's so many things you could have done.
Yeah, they definitely.
And you
could've
figured,
got away
like,
with that.
If they're all, you know, smart and learning and stuff, they wouldn't build a fucking huge battle station that could blow up that easily.
Right.
Which happened to the Death Star twice.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is a great idea. We should probably do this. Oh wait, oh we blew
And-
it up again.
The guy who works sanitation probably wouldn't know how
Right.
to fucking do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think
Yeah, because
so.
this wasn't you know, now we know with Rogue One, this wasn't a flaw that someone put in on purpose.
Right.
This was someone fucked up really bad to make this thing be able to blow up pretty easily.
Well, the fucking thing that they attacked was, like, right on the surface. You know, like, there was no real protection at all in this one. And like you said, I loved Rogue One just for the simple fact that they just said, well, that little flaw was planted. Then you're like,
Yeah.
oh, that makes
more sense.
everything
yeah.
so much
Yeah.
better.
They definitely retrofitted the explanation as best they could,
Oh,
maybe even
fantastic.
perfectly.
Yeah.
But you know, getting back to that, Poe Dameron did a lot of fucking damage to that place when he flew into that whatchamacallit.
Yeah.
Like, this is where the thing is. It wasn't, like, easy for him. Well,
No.
it was easy for Poe Dameron because he's a
'Cause
bad motherfucker.
Yeah, he's a
Right.
fucking awesome
But,
pilot,
like, what he did wasn't easy.
yeah. That was the trench run, though.
Totally. Without a doubt, it
Big
was the
time.
fucking trench run.
It was the trench
But
run.
it was
just like
fucking.
it was
badass
cooler
Poe Dameron.
looking and
Yeah,
like more dramatic, I guess, because it was
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever. But
definitely.
it was just a little silly.
Anyway,
Anyway,
so next up,
where was I?
I'm just staring off into space. Get it?
I think all of us are.
yeah, you're gonna have to like edit this part out where we're just kind of zoning out.
What-
What is the next scene?
Well, one thing I wanted to mention was you see Kylo Ren's like piloting skills. Kylo Ray. Like,
Yeah.
like he's just like you just got to think this is Skywalker Solo like mixed together. Like
He
this
does
is
the little
fucking.
spinny
Oh,
He
yeah.
does. He does the Anakin spin.
Yeah. Yeah.
He does like fucking all this cool shit like in the ship that you see pretty much him and Poe do. That's pretty much it. That in current time, so to speak.
Mm.
You know, I
So
pick
it's
up
pretty
on
impressive.
I pick up on so much stuff, and what you just said, I didn't pick up on. Like, fuck, yeah, he's a good pilot. He's a fucking Solo and a Skywalker.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even pick up on that shit.
He bullseyes fucking womp rats from
yeah.
miles away now.
Yeah, yeah. The simple stuff I won't pick up on.
Holy shit.
Holy
yeah.
hell. Yeah.
The baddest pilot from the most awesome pilot from the Clone Wars to the coolest pilot ever, Han Solo.
Right, right.
If Han Solo had Force powers.
Fuck.
I would.
Yeah.
I'd argue that maybe he does have a little. Maybe that's why he's so awesome.
Mm.
Maybe he can tap it a little bit.
Yeah.
He did tap a force user. Damn right.
All right.
All right, you see, Kilo Kylo, Kale,
Kilo. Like he's cocaine.
connection with Leia when he's
Right.
about to
The
shoot.
White Devil.
You know, he has this target. He has his targeting computer or whatever right on the friggin' bridge of.
To
The
make
sh-
it look
the
like he's
ship.
gonna shoot his mom, right? Yeah.
Now, what do you guys think is going to? Think he's going to do it? You think if he does it, what happens? Blah blah blah.
No, I think this entire trailer was a misdirection,
Yeah.
and I think they wanted to get the holy shit, he's gonna kill her, and it's not gonna happen.
So
I think he pulls out right at the last minute.
here's my thing. Like, if it is a misdirection and he's not even trying to shoot his mom's ship, what the fuck is he agonizing about in that cockpit? Because you can see him. You can see like he's
One-
torn or whatever.
One theory. Well, one. I'll start here. If he does shoot the bridge,
Mm-hmm.
which would be obviously Carrie Fisher's not around anyway, so it'd be
Be
a
a good way to get
good way to get
her.
rid of her, so
Yeah.
to speak.
Terrible
Which is
to say. I didn't
exactly.
say it like that. But
if he kills his father, then his mother, how fucking emo he is. He's a fucking awesome
a
bad
bad
guy.
motherfucker.
yeah, I've been calling him Darth Emo since day one.
Like he's just like fucking. I don't know. He just steps above like a lot of other villains.
Yeah.
Like it's just like to think of like how shitty, how bad you can be to be like, ah, fuck you, dad. Ah, fuck you, mom. And both times, at least the illusion right now, he thinks about it. It's not like us, like, oh, I threw a fucking, I shot in the air, and my dad happened to be there, and I hit him. Oops. It was, let me think here. Okay, now I'm gonna stab him.
Yeah. He
Let me
definitely
think here.
aggravates
Okay,
it.
now I'm gonna shoot this bridge.
It was like Vader when Vader fought Obi-Wan in A New Hope. There was no remorse. There was no thinking about it. He fucking killed him. You know, he was a Sith Lord at that point. And that's the difference between him and fucking Kilo fucking Ren, is that there's a lot of human still in Ren. You know what I mean? Like, he was conflicted throughout all of The Force Awakens.
Definitely more conflicted than
Yeah.
Anakin. Yeah.
So I think the whole scene, it's a misdirection, but I think he does have the intentions upon killing Leia, but I really believe that at the last moment he can't do it.
I feel that this topic also harkens back to the books of Jason, because Jason did the same thing to become the Sith Lord. Like, he had to kill something he loved, and he ended up killing Luke Skywalker's wife, Mara Jade.
Yeah.
Spoiler: I just fucked that up for somebody who was
Damn.
like 10 years old. You should have fucking read it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Fucking
if you go back to the prequels again, I think it was the same thing with Anakin. I think Anakin was, deep down inside, he was a good person. You know what I mean? And I think Palpatine thought to himself, like, well, I got to turn him to the dark side, and I don't want him
those
to.
seeds.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
want him to regret anything. So at the same time, I'm going to kill his fucking wife, because that's what I believe. I believe Palpatine is the one that killed Padme, and I think it was so. Now you got basically your father figure in Obi-Wan Kenobi left you for dead. Your wife's dead. You're assuming your kids are dead. So your entire life is gone. All the Jedi you grew up with are dead. So
All your old homies are dead.
right. So this whole thing where it's like, come to the dark side, I can help your family and all this, it was all good intentions on Anakin's part. Because he's like, I know there's a darkness, but I got to protect my family.
Right.
But then Palpatine said, like, okay, so when this is all done, is he going to be loyal to me? Fuck no, because he's going to be conflicted just the same as Kylo Ren is.
Right. I totally have to fuck this guy's
Yeah,
life
I got to
up.
fucking annihilate everything out of it.
Yeah.
And that's why he killed Padme. Like, he basically made him a fucking zombie of evil.
Yeah.
Where everything's dead, where he's just like, fuck it. Like, I'm in this now because I got nothing else.
And it goes back to that old proverb, though, the road to hell is paved with good intentions,
Right.
right? So there's definitely some kind of moral lesson that Lucas is trying to push on you too,
Right,
I guess,
right.
at that point.
Right.
You got to think too is, in episode 1, he's like, "I want to watch your career of great interest." Obviously, he did, but throughout the throughout episode 2 and 3, he's always like giving little hints, like, "Oh, you should come talk to me more. The
Oh,
Jedi
yeah.
aren't that good." And when he's talking about Plagueis in the theater or whatever, Anakin's fighting for the Jedi, so to speak, like, "Oh, they're for good and fucking all this shit." And the Sith are just thinking about themselves. And his line, I'm just not really a real quote 'cause I can't think of the exact line, but essentially he's like, "Well, the Jedi aren't any different. They're looking out for themselves. That's it."
And it's true.
True, yeah.
So now he's conflicted. And then when they finally figure out Sidious is Sidious, Windu's like, "Fuck you, you stay here. You're a piece of shit. We don't trust you. We're going to go
Right.
capture him." So, like, he's like, "Okay, well, I told you this guy's a bad guy. You figured it out.
Right.
I want to help you. I'm on your team, and you're saying fuck me. Now I'm really conflicted. Maybe I shouldn't do this." And obviously, he turns to the dark side.
I think that what Palpatine fed him was awesome because even if it wasn't true, that little seed is insidious.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
like, and it's totally gonna fuck with your head. Yeah, I see it from this point of view. Yeah, they are kind of shitty. The
Right.
Jedi are kind of self-serving.
And he's like, "Oh, you're worried about your wife? Well, I've heard a story of a Sith Lord that could save people."
yeah, and a little smirk.
And then he's like, "Oh, I gotta fucking talk to this guy more."
Yeah, you think of it too. Sidious obviously knows that he's the chosen one, okay, and maybe Sidious knows of the whole thing that we were talking about before, where he knows that the dark and the light have to make balance, and it will wipe out the Sith basically, and the Jedi, in a sense. So if you think about it, so Anakin's put basically into play because he's the one that's going to wipe out both factions. So if you're trying to control the galaxy and keep your fucking organization going, you're going to grab that kid up and tell him all the bullshit he needs to know to turn that motherfucker evil. Because he has the power to wipe you and the Jedi out.
You know what you just made me realize? Palpatine did exactly what Bane did 1,000 years before.
Yeah.
He just got rid of all that.
Wiped it out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Any competition? See you later.
Yep.
Yeah.
So maybe, and that would be great if they did, if they are going this route with the story, if they did mention something about Palpatine, knowing this is going to happen, and that's why he turned Anakin into Vader.
I mean, even if he didn't know, I'm sure he overheard the Jedi talking about it. So it's like, okay, well, all his teachings and all the shit he read and stuff, I'm sure he could, connect the dots if he didn't know right out.
Right. I'm staring off into space again.
Yeah, there's too much silent reveries.
So the next scene of interest is you see Finn now healthy,
Yeah, that's
fighting
good
Captain
news.
Phasma,
Yeah.
which is cool.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
there's not
cool.
much. I guess not much more to say.
That was just straight.
Phasma fell a little short in the first one. Like,
Oh yeah, big disappointment.
Such a big build up for like,
yeah.
oh, okay. But what people, rumors, whatever, they're saying that this scene is them actually on the Supremacy, and the Supremacy is like on fire and about to blow up and shit like that.
Well,
Which could be true, could not be
Finn's
true.
wearing an Imperial uniform,
Right.
Yeah.
so he's undercover or something. Well, yeah, he's undercover with that little chick
Yeah.
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the cockeyed hat. Yeah. Gwendolyn Christie. What a good job they do of making her ugly on Game of Thrones. Isn't she? Like, she's so adorable, and like
She really
when you
is.
in real person, you're like,
She's really
how can
huge
that
though.
be? Yeah,
But
she's ginormous. Yeah.
what's funny about, not to get on a different topic, but I guess we're geeking out, so who
Yeah.
cares? I can't think of his name. The guy like in Game of Thrones that like hits on her all the time.
Oh, Tormund's Giant Bane. I love that guy. He has the best
But
fucking
I guess
lines.
he hits on her in real life too, and she's like not having any of it, which is fucking hilarious.
That's awesome.
So it's just like
Not
it's like
seriously, though, does it?
seriously,
He's
like
totally into her?
yeah,
No
supposedly.
shit. I don't know.
Of course, it's rumors. All
I
this
thought he
other
was
shit.
married.
I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, it's pretty fun.
I love his lines. Well, the one where, Jon Snow first comes back to spoiler. Jon Snow comes back to life, and he's like, "They think you're a god." He's like, "I'm not a god." He's like, "Yeah, I know. I've seen your little pecker."
Yeah, that is great.
Yeah.
All right, back to Star Wars.
Back to
I
Star
guess.
Wars. You see the Millennium Falcon as flying away from TIE fighters in some like red crystal cave.
So that's that planet too, right?
It could be. I mean, I'm not sure if it's crystallized. I mean, it could be the same thing. It could be a different planet.
All right.
No, it could be the rock form of the red dirt. You know what I
That's
mean?
what I
Right.
was thinking. Yeah, that red is the theme of that planet.
Right. And then you see the next cash grab by Disney, a little fucking porg
Yeah.
Oh,
fucking
yeah, that
thing,
thing's
little
adorable.
penguin. It is fucking
Yeah,
adorable.
My wife wants one. she loves penguins, and it's like, oh.
It's a Star Wars penguin.
I guess they're from Octu, the friggin' planet that Luke is
Okay.
on right now. They're inhabiting on that planet.
Oh,
So
I'll raise train, and Chewie's like,
yeah, Chewie's like, oh, this
to
thing's
fill the
fucking
void
sweet.
of my friend just
Yeah.
getting fucking killed
Yeah.
by my nephew or his son, whatever the fuck.
Whatever he is, right?
Basically, Chewie is his fucking uncle, kinda.
Yeah.
more or
Kilo
less.
can be whatever we say he is.
Yeah,
Kilo.
Kilo with a white devil.
All right, next unless you guys want to bring anything else up with that.
No,
Porgs
Man,
are
it's
fucking
pretty
cute.
sweet. Yeah.
they're fucking adorable.
They are pretty awesome.
That's it. When I saw the scene and Chewie's like yelling, and then the Porg does it, and I'm like, oh, he thinks he's a fucking Wookiee. Adorable.
So awesome. You finally see a close up of Snoke, like not a hologram or anything like
You notice
that.
the cover in his mouth though.
Yeah.
And supposedly the reason they're doing that because
They can't. The
They can't-
animation is not.
the
awesome.
animation
Yeah.
isn't great because the way they did Tarkin.
Right. Yeah.
Like people were saying it looked fucked up, even though I think it looked fucking amazing.
They get the
I thought it
robot
looked great.
Like
Yeah.
when in Rogue One, when you're like, "Is that him? Is that him?" He turns around and starts talking like, "Holy fucking shit, that is him! It looks exactly like him.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
amazing." And then they do the same thing with Leia later on in the movie. It's fucking
She
great.
looked a little weird to me.
Yeah, I was less
Yeah.
impressed with her.
But it was still
yeah.
pretty damn close, and it looked
I
like
got,
pretty.
I got a nerd
fucking
boner
good.
on both of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's supposedly that's why they did the fucking hand before in front of the face.
So you get that shot of fucking Snoke, and it looks like he's doing some kind of force grip on Rey.
Right.
So they're in the same fucking room.
Yeah, because you actually see Ray like, "Ah!"
Right,
and
exactly.
you see him looks like him in the background with his gold cloak or whatever it
Yep,
is.
yep.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're in the same room.
Yeah, whatever.
And what's I thought was pretty interesting, which all the Star Wars geeks probably noticed, is he's like, "I want you to fulfill your destiny," just like fucking Palpatine said to Luke. in
Yeah,
Return of the
another one of
Jedi.
those echoes. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
So of course that sort of pushed forward the rumor that this is fucking Palpatine, like reincarnated or something, one of his clones, and blah blah blah. And if they did that, I'd fucking be pissed
So would I.
because that's just
A
like
reincarnation of Palpatine.
yeah, because supposedly he had all these clones
That's
and all
from
this shit.
the Dark Empire comics.
Right.
That's another ripoff of the expanded universe.
Yeah.
Can we get on the expanded universe for a minute?
Sure.
So this is the way I understand it. Before it was everything is canon unless we put something in a movie that contradicts what you put in that comic book or that book. Now it's nothing is canon until we say it's canon.
Right.
But it might be. We might
yeah,
take
we
some of
might
your
twist
shit.
it up a little bit.
But like my problem with that is, and don't get me wrong, I think Dave Filoni is fucking awesome. But if you're gonna take expanded universe stuff and put it into the Clone Wars, make it better. Don't fuck it up.
Right.
Yeah. Because, and I agree because, like, for instance, the first thing I thought of was the Darth Bane thing. When Yoda sees Darth Bane
I like
in the
that.
Clone War, I hated it.
Really?
And the reason I hated it is because Darth Bane didn't look like Darth Bane.
Yeah, the way you would
Oh,
picture
it
it.
was just he had a weird fucking armor on, and like if you read the books, You know, like
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was just
the obelisks.
Yeah,
and whatnot,
but he
yeah.
still looked like Bane. You know, I
Yeah.
was expecting like I got a friggin' huge hard on when I heard the name Bane, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Because I was like, great, because now this is like real canon. And then when he came up,
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
fuck, this is not the Bane.
What's-
You know?
Two things about that. One, it's awesome because Mark Hamill actually did the voice of Bane.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which
that's
is
right.
fucking amazing.
That was.
But
fucking
with
awesome.
that last season of Clone Wars, it felt so fucking forced.
Yeah.
Like Yoda going everywhere and shit, just to give like the notion that the Jedi fucking knew what was gonna happen. Essentially,
Yeah.
Like they didn't know exactly, but just to know so they could do the Force Ghost and all that shit. Like it was essentially when Disney bought them, they're like, okay, you end this fucking shit. This isn't us. We want to make our own thing.
Yeah, they rushed it.
They rushed
You
it,
could
and it was
tell.
just like there was so many loose ends with Clone Wars and everything.
Now
It
that
was
you're
just,
saying that, I definitely see it, but I still really love those last 3 episodes with Yoda. Like I see
Oh,
what
I
you're
enjoyed
saying.
them. Yeah, I
I see
enjoyed
what you're
them.
saying. Yeah, it did. Now that you're saying that, it does feel kind of rushed, but
I mean, it connects why he went to Dagobah, because
Yeah.
that's where Qui-Gon was originally, and that's why he went there to essentially learn.
I love that whole interaction with the wills, those entities that showed
Right.
him what was up. But you didn't really see him getting. I guess you did see him getting trained, but it wasn't what I expected.
No, I think they ruined that. I think that was.
No,
a
they
missed
just, I think
opportunity.
they just essentially wanted to tell that story, but later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, Dave Filoni or whoever made the decision was just like, here you go, let me
Yeah,
throw this
hurry
in
up.
here. I wanted to put this in this Clone Wars friggin' box set or whatever, and that was my most important thing. That's what they let me do. They let me do one more season, so I have to
Yeah.
explain that.
My 2 big issues of contention with the expanded universe and the Clone Wars is the Mandalorians. I didn't like where they went with the kind of government they had.
Nope.
I'm like, dude, you just fucked up 4,000 years of history.
Yeah.
Sure, it was make-believe history, Star Wars history, but
It was our history.
yeah, it was 4,000 years of Mandalorian history. I know I'm kind of being a little ridiculous about this, but still, I feel strongly about it. Like, I don't think they made it better. I think they would have been better off with sticking with closer to what Karen Travis was pushing forward in the Republic Commandos books. My second issue of contention is Quinlan Voss. Quinlan Voss was totally fucking ruined. They made him into a doofy surfer dude
Yep.
Right.
in the fucking Clone Wars. It's just like, why did you do that? The fucking comic
And he
book was
was-
100 times better.
And he was pretty much pointless in the whole scheme of things.
Yeah,
Like he went with Obi-Wan on that planet to get the hut or whatever.
I couldn't
and
even
that was
sit
like
through
it.
that episode.
It was just like, okay, well,
I don't even know what happened in that episode.
It's horrid. That's why.
I mean, with the Mandalorians, I definitely see what you're saying, and it sort of is going to be interesting what they do with Rebels, because they're essentially on Mandalorian now.
Loving where they're going with
Which-
it now.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah,
we'll,
loving
we'll
that.
Much
see,
better.
and
The whole pledging of fealty, like
Yeah, that's fucking sweet.
with
Well-
the clans.
Yep.
I love that.
And that's closer to the actual stories of the friggin' expanded universe.
exactly.
Because I'm the same way too. Like I cherish the EU, and I was pissed when they said like, "Fuck it, all these is gone." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, are you fucking kidding me?"
There's some-
Not saying that there's some books that suck.
Yeah,
and
there's some
shouldn't.
stupid shit in the EU.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be the first to admit it, but there's a lot of awesome shit too.
Right, but don't take like one of the ones I cherish is the whole story of Revan, and I would
Yeah.
hate for them to
Yeah.
take the story of Revan and fuck it up.
That's why when you were saying earlier they might go back to the old Republic, I'm like,
right,
How
don't,
far
don't
back?
touch that shit. Yeah.
leave that shit alone.
Like if they do it exactly like I have the Revan book, I
Yeah.
have like the old Republic books and the video games, and stick to it. Just everything
Yeah.
there is great. Like don't fucking touch a goddamn
Our
thing.
RPG is literally during the RPG we play is literally during that time.
Right,
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's just about Revan's just about to come back.
right, right.
Enter in that game.
But that whole like don't touch any of that if you're gonna fuck it up. Like if you're not
No.
gonna take it and even just carbon copy it or just make it better, then don't fucking touch it.
It's like when a band does a cover of a song.
Yeah.
You have two options: do it exactly the same, or blow it out of the fucking water and do it better.
Right.
Those are your two options.
Yeah.
Don't fucking change.
Don't twist it around.
Right.
You know.
Don't do like a rap song and make it rock or something or whatever.
Right.
That's those
Do
usually
whatever you
really
want.
bad.
If you
Don't
can
Limp
make it
Biscuit
better.
the shit out of it.
If you
Right.
what?
I said don't Limp Biscuit the shit out of it.
No. If you can make it better, you have carte blanche.
Right.
If you can't make it better, do it exactly the fucking same.
Exactly.
Don't change it.
Yep. I agree 100%. And there's a lot of, like I was saying, I'm more in the, the books prior to the movies, or even during the movies as opposed to the ones after, because I think they got really fucking off kilt.
Not a big fan of the books that are coming out. I did like, what was it called? Lost Star or something Star, about the rebel or the boy and the girl that grow up together, and one of them ends up in the Empire, one of them ends up in the rebel side.
Oh.
I really like that
Yeah,
book.
yeah.
I was kind of amazed that I got through a whole Star Wars book and liked it, and there were no lightsabers in it.
Yeah, it's
That
tough.
was a weird fucking experience.
Well,
Well, that's how I felt in Rogue One. I'm like,
yeah.
there's no fucking lightsabers, but it was great.
Well,
Well, at the end there were.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that was fucking amazing.
That was a huge nerd
Well,
moment
yeah.
right there.
Well, speaking of that, the Solo movie was actually named Solo, a Star Wars story.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that probably won't have any lightsabers either.
I'm fine with
no.
So it's gonna be interesting.
that. I'm glad you
We'll
brought
see.
that up. Because of that, you and I both will have kids that share names with Star Wars characters. Except you named your kid after a Star Wars character, and they named a Star Wars character after my kid.
I think you win.
I think I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, what is her name? Amelia Clark, Daenerys Targaryen, is going to be in that Solo movie. And
She's a beast,
apparently,
by the way.
She's so hot.
yeah. The,
That is affirmative.
and
all agree.
I think her name is going to be Kira, so that's pretty cool.
That's
I was
cool.
telling my daughter about it. She's like, "No way!" I'm like, "Totally."
Totally.
Yeah. You know what's
You're
funny?
famous.
Like that Amelia Clark chick.
Totally hot.
She is attractive, but I'm attracted more to her Daenerys Targaryen than I am to that actor. Like, the character of Daenerys Targaryen is what I
I think she looks
is
better
hot.
as a brunette, though.
I like that.
To be
In
honest.
Terminator Genesis,
99
she was super hot.
In what?
I don't know if I've even
Genesis.
seen that movie. to be
It's a
honest.
piece of shit, but just watch it for her.
Maybe I will.
Yeah.
99% of the time
Put it
I
on
prefer
pause.
a brunette
I mean,
over
you-
a blonde. But
Yeah.
For some reason, I like her with.
I mean, I'm not
the red hair.
saying, I wouldn't give it to her. I'm
I
saying,
bang either versions.
Like, either,
That's very
yeah,
nice of you.
Yeah, but you can go to the other room, dye your hair, and come back.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a new girl. Fucking
Oh.
sweet.
Great.
Anyway.
Now that we're on that topic.
Yeah, before we veer into some conversation that's going to get me in trouble with my wife. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
She
let's-
won't listen to this anyway.
Mine's not either. Fuck it.
Yeah, you're probably right. There's there's
talking
really
about all the
no
hot girls.
chance of her. You know, it's funny. Like, I forgot where we were at, but we were at some place. We were together, and somebody brought up. Everybody knows that I like Star Wars, and they turned to my wife Jessica and like, "Do you like Star Wars?" And she goes, "I used to."
You killed that for her. Congratulations.
I used to. Yeah. But so are we done with the trailer? Did we get to the end? Of the
One
trailer?
other thing, or two other things rather. One thing I want to mention is what I said earlier about maybe Luke says, "F you, Rey, I'm not going to train you."
Yeah.
I wonder if Rey goes to try to find someone else to train her, and she runs into Snoke. So that's that scene, which could be, could not be. I just figured I'd throw it out there as a friggin' theory or something like that.
So I'm gonna say that it's gonna be reminiscent to that Dagobah scene. It was like Yoda's like, don't go, and he's like, I have to. It's my friends. I think that's why she's there.
Yeah.
She's going to save Finn or something. And,
Right,
and
'cause if-
I want to go on record as saying I don't think there's sexual tension between Finn and Rey. I think it's between Finn and Poe.
Oh,
Yeah.
That whole scene with the jacket, I was like,
Well, that was one of my first.
Like, keep it. It looks great. Looks awesome.
That was
Yeah,
one of my
and I'm
first
totally fine with
comments about after seeing that movie. I went with two of my friends. We got in the car, of course, talking about the movie. I'm like, they forced that fucking bromance really hard. Like, it was not needed.
No.
Like they just,
Looks
I
good on you.
understand, like,
Look at that.
you know, it was cool the whole scene or whatever. He saved
Yeah.
him, and he got out. He got out because he let him off the,
Yeah.
you know, off the ship and all that shit. But it was just like they forced it so hard. Like they're like, you know, when they're at the friggin' Republic base or whatever, it was like, Poe, Finn, oh my god, oh! Like it was just fucking, it was unneeded.
I
It
can
wasn't
understand
needed.
you'd be excited, but
Yeah, because
they
he
were-
was
that part
alive, but it
excited.
wasn't
They
like
pro-
fucking skiing time. I mean, what the fuck?
We'll see.
Could be.
That'll
I,
be it.
you know,
That'll be a first for Star Wars.
I'm not against gay people. I'm not against like all the openness now and stuff like that. But I don't. Star Wars isn't a story that really needs a gay subject matter. You know what I mean? So I'm really hoping they're not going that way.
I don't care either way. I was just making a joke.
I really
If
don't-
they did, it wouldn't fucking bother
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
I don't give a shit.
But it's just I don't know. I think it's going to distract me.
But I could-
you know.
I could see them going that route because they made like a woman lead. You know what I
Just
mean?
be
Like they're
good with
trying to
that.
be politically correct, so they want everyone to have a character in this. You know, a black co-leader or co-actor lead or whatever you want to call it
Oh, yeah.
with Finn. I mean, I wouldn't care
gotta-
either way. I'm just saying I wouldn't put that past them if they
That
did it.
controversy when they were like, "Oh, there's a black stormtrooper," I was like,
How do you know? There could be a million black
There could be,
stormtroopers.
"Yeah,
yeah.
dude, yeah."
Like how stupid is that?
it just makes
This
no-
is the
But that's-
first
that's what I'm-
stormtrooper's head you see besides like Rex or something.
But that's
Well, he's a clone trooper. That's
Right.
totally different.
Right.
Stormtroopers have been around.
They're not clones anymore.
Yeah, they as soon as the Clone Wars ended, they started phasing them out.
Yeah.
and putting people who were born from vaginas into the ranks. So I mean, yeah, not only were there people of all ethnicities.
there might have been aliens, like different
Yeah, there could have been
species and shit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure.
I don't think it was any because they were really human.
Yeah,
like,
I'm pretty sure
eccentric.
Palpatine was super xenophobic, which is
Oh, yeah,
basically.
Because you see everyone, you know, all the commanders, admirals, etc., all
Except
human.
for Thrawn.
Thrawn,
but
but-
he was an exception because he was so smart.
Yeah.
And, like,
And that
Palpatine
just
couldn't pass him
became
over.
canon all of a sudden. Because that was extended, blah, blah, blah.
But you know, getting back to my whole gay phobia thing, it's not even that. It's the simple fact that if they do it, it's gonna fucking distract the whole movie. You know what I mean? Like, I
That's
just
gonna
don't
be
want
that's
that.
gonna be the headline instead of this fighting scene was awesome.
Right.
It was cool how Rey is fucking the kid of Lando Calrissian or something.
Yeah.
You know, that it's gonna be the total focus of now they're politically correct.
But that's how it was in the beginning of Force Awakens. They're like, oh, black stormtrooper? You know, like
Now
that kind
nobody
of
even
stuff
thinks
just,
about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, who
But
gives a shit?
Yeah, but I don't want it to be like, okay, well, The Last Jedi had the first fucking, two gay people, in a fucking Star Wars movie, and you're forgetting about the goddamn movie.
Yeah.
I hate that. I
That
hate
wouldn't
when that
distract
happens.
me too much.
But the general public, it would.
yeah, fuck
You know,
them.
well,
Like they,
fuck
they
them.
can get on board or get off.
I'll be buying
or-
a ticket. I don't give a shit. Who
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
going
If
to see
I'm
Star Wars.
If I'm alone in the theater, who gives a fuck? I'm still going.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can jerk off to fucking.
That's right. Defending fucking Poe.
those are two handsome dudes. At
They
the
are.
end, you'll probably be like, you know what?
I mean, basically, it's the guy.
Yeah, let's give it a shot. I don't know.
It's a guy that pulls up
You
in a
never know
Ferrari.
till you try. I don't know.
It's a guy that pulls up in a Ferrari that can do donuts and do like in and out of traffic.
Right.
But he does it in a fucking starship. Like you
Yeah.
wouldn't want to like get in that car with him. Like seriously.
X-wing is so big.
Oh, Jesus.
BB-8, move out of the way. I want to get that spot.
Have we actually
He
gone
makes
to the
that
end
look
of this
good.
yet? The trailer.
The last thing is basically Kylo Ren. Well, what they want to make you think Rey is asking Kylo Ren for help.
Right, we touched on that a little
We
bit.
touched
earlier,
about
yeah.
that. The only thing I
total
want to
bullshit.
mention is bullshit. It's definitely not the same scene.
There's fire in the background.
Yeah, it's not even the same lighting.
behind.
Right.
There's a similar reddish tone on her face,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it goes back to what you were just saying. It's her saying something to Luke, like, "This is you're my only
Well,
chance."
they have
Maybe like some
behind
kinda
the scenes. I
campfire
forgot exactly where it
on
is.
that land.
Exactly behind the scenes, you see a campfire with the Millennium Falcon in the back.
Yeah.
That's what most people think that scene is. Also, you got to notice, Kylo Ren doesn't have a scar on his face,
Right.
so it's before Force Awakens when
Mm-hmm.
he actually gets cut.
Yeah, I think that was a flashback scene.
I did not.
So
catch
that's
that.
and
All
obviously
right,
he
all
has
right.
like that cybernetic whatever fucking scar
Stitches or-
stitches whatever they are throughout well in the space battles and stuff like that. So it definitely seems like it's a flashback scene. Maybe I don't know when Luke's talking to him or when he first turns or something. Who knows? But
Right, and like we said, we agreed that it was big time misdirection. But if you look at the scene again, there's a scene where when Luke is saying, "I don't think this is going to go the way that you think," and da da da. Now in that scene, he's sort of laying against a rock,
and he's wet and stuff. Yeah.
right, and he's all wet. Then there's when you really look at the Rey thing, she sort of looks wet too. You know what I mean? And she's against a black kind of rock. So I think that scene is together. And the whole, like you said, I didn't catch it until like the third time. Yeah, he's missing the scar.
Right.
I thought that scene with Luke was him with the burning building. Him saying something to
Yeah, it could've
Kylo
been.
like, this is not gonna go down the way you fucking think, dude. Don't
Yeah, I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Don't try
that's
me.
That's the way I took it too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
I mean,
Who knows?
either way, it's not. It's nowhere
it's
near
definitely
what you think.
throwing a curveball
Yeah.
sort of, or something.
But I didn't think of that. That's
Have
a
an
good one.
analogy.
But
you
who's to
wanna
say? Like we all agree. This whole fucking trailer is a curveball.
Yeah. Yeah.
This whole trailer is a curveball.
And
Which
that's
is
how they
cool.
get
Keep
you
me
in
guessing.
the that's how they get you
I'm
into the
fine.
theater because you
Yeah,
have to
I'm
go
with that,
see. So that's pretty much all I have on the trailer itself. I don't know if you guys want to add anything or comment further on anything I brought up. I mean, I have some general thoughts on this movie and next movie that I want to see and stuff like that.
Let's get into that then.
Okay.
Yeah. So what do you want to see?
So one thing I definitely want to see is
Gay love.
gay love on the back of an X-wing.
Mm-hmm.
With that, one thing I didn't mention was that big fucking, I don't know, engine or booster or something on the back of Poe's X-wing that makes him fucking, he flies like out of the hangar really fast.
Is there a scene where what is it? The Falcon kind of blows through a ship or something, or is it the X-wing? Is that what you're talking about?
That was from Rebels. That was her name. Vera? No, Vera.
Thera? The Twilight chick.
Twilight chick.
Twi'lek, whatever.
Twilight.
That was her. Thera. No, I don't know. Anyway.
Hera, that's her name.
Hera, yeah,
There
yeah.
we go.
Big weekend.
So that was that one. She essentially light speeds through her fucking ship.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm guessing
again.
that's what you're thinking of.
I think that's what it is. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
I mean, you
Alright.
do see Kylo, fucking whatever his name is today, fly through a ship, like a hangar and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's kind of off to the right of
Right.
it a little bit. Yeah, which is also reminiscent of the opening scene in Revenge of the Sith, where Anakin and Obi-Wan are kind of doing like they're flying close to the ships so they don't get fired upon. Or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
So one thing we already, sort of mentioned, talked about, I definitely want to see fucking Luke just
Balls out.
beast, like, force powers we haven't seen before, or that we might know of, but some ridiculous shit. But again, if that happens, it's like, why did he not just beat the shit out of all these people in the first place?
Or
Maybe
why-
because Kylo was his nephew or whatever, so he's like, I'm just gonna leave instead of fight. But
Yeah. I'd like to see some like Force lightning, something reminiscent from the books that
Yeah,
he did.
yeah.
Because he did figure it out somehow, right? I don't remember exactly if it was like a dark side power when he did it or not, but
well,
the,
what's his name?
the Dark Nest trilogy or something. I think it was from that book or something that he used it. I can't remember. There's like a million books.
Well, here's a little fun fact. Mace
Wow.
Windu, the fighting style that he used was technically a dark side pushing fighting style. And
Yeah.
I forget the name of it now.
So
Vipad?
Yeah,
Vapad?
Is that what it
Vapad. So it's actually a variant of fighting, one of the fighting styles that are already there.
Right.
And they call it Vapad because it's some kind of like monster that has a bunch of tentacles,
Mm-hmm.
and in that book, the Shatterpoint,
Mm-hmm.
he makes a joke. He's like, "How many arms does it look like I have?" Because when he fights, it looks like he has like 20 arms and a lightsaber
Yeah,
at the end of
yeah.
each one. But there's a trick to that fighting style. Basically, what he's doing is he's using the dark side to fuel his power, but at the same time he's cycling it out so
Yeah.
it doesn't stay and it
Right.
doesn't leave
It's giving him
the
the
taint.
strength, but it's not corrupting him.
Right.
Which I always thought was cool because his lightsaber is purple, and you know if you take the two colors, red and blue, it makes purple.
Yep.
Which are the two, I don't know.
Yep.
I kind of felt like that was contrived, but maybe not.
Well, his whole thing was, I want a purple lightsaber. Like,
Yeah, it was as
Samuel
simple as
Jackson.
that.
Oh yeah,
but then
yeah,
they
yeah.
But I like the red and
they
fucking
they
blue
cannoned
thing
it
better.
of like he went to some planet and found a fucking purple crystal.
Oh yeah, I have
all
that
this
comic
shit.
book. That's right.
And like
so they
that's-
retrofitted.
Yeah,
it.
they're like, okay, well, we'll throw this in to make sense because this only, this motherfucker on the plane is getting a purple lightsaber. No one
That
else
was
has
literally
anything
in
else.
his contract. Like, that's how badass he is. Like, he literally said, okay, I will do the movie. Here's all the stipulations and a purple lightsaber.
I just want to believe that like because I know he took it home afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
I want to believe that like somewhere on that lightsaber now is a little plaque that says "bad motherfucker."
yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
if that's not true, I'll definitely be
Yeah.
a little disappointed.
You know, and I'm a big one because he's been saying it too. Like, well, you guys don't know if Mace Windu died. I would
did.
love for there to be like a little cameo of just a broken Mace Windu. You know, he's been fucking hiding for years and years. He's like 100 years old now. I would love it.
Well, they even say he could be Snoke, which would be
I
fucking.
hate that idea.
It would be cool, like for the fact of like he turned like maybe from Vapad or Vadpad or whatever the fuck it's
I
called.
think it's
like that.
it's Vapad.
That turned him or something.
Keep thinking of a vape. Every time it's said.
But again, it would just be like, who cares, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
It'd be a huge fucking disappointment.
About 5 or 8 years ago, I actually wrote some fan fiction, like basically the first 3 chapters of that book, of how he survived, how he got his lightsaber back.
That's awesome.
And I had it all planned out right to the end. I mean, and you know, Charlie was giving me some awesome ideas. Basically, we're gonna model it after the guy that ran the IRA. Liam Neeson was in the movie. You know the movie I'm talking about? We were gonna basically I had everything done, and I was like the first 3 or 4 chapters, and I got to this point, and I talked to Charlie about it, and he's like, and he came up with that idea, like make it like the fashion Mace Windu after that dude from the IRA, and you can even say that the people that are following are his apostles and whatnot. So we had a whole big thing about it, but who knows what they're gonna do with it? If they let me write it, it'll be fucking awesome. Just saying.
I'm saying I'm the best Star Wars guy ever.
Yeah, I even like started it. Did you read that Shatterpoint book with Mace Windu?
I read half of it.
So
yes.
like in the opening, there's like a big opening where Mace Windu has this kind of like statement that he's saying and how he feels about the war. So when I started writing my fan fiction version, I went right to Shatterpoint, and I'm like, even though I don't want it to feel like I'm stealing from this guy, but I want it to the guy that wrote that book, I can't remember his name right now, but I definitely want it to feel like it's from the same kind of, obviously it's from the same universe, but it should feel like it's part of that,
Yeah.
So I took a lot of elements of what he did in that book, and I expanded on them in those first 3 chapters, and they should definitely let me write that movie. It'll be awesome.
Yeah, he is a character that, I've read some stuff on him, and he's very interesting and stuff, but I would love to know that he did survive and just a really good story written. You know what I mean?
I mean,
It's-
that's one good thing about Clone Wars. You see how fucking badass he was.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
Clone Wars.
He even does
Like-
the Shatterpoint power in the series.
Yeah.
So that's one of many, in my opinion, good things about the Clone Wars series is they show a lot of these Jedis that you've heard about or you see very small parts in the movies. You're just like, okay, who the fuck is this guy? And then that just makes it that much better. Like he's a fucking badass in that show.
Yeah. That was another shitty thing about Attack of the Clones. You saw all these fucking Jedi and nothing. There was no backstories. There was no, well, this is this guy, this is that. It was just rushed in.
Because they're a fucking dime a dozen at that time.
Well,
There's
yeah.
so many of them. That's why Palpatine had to be sneaky and make them take control of the armies to thin out the herd.
Yeah.
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 Well, I mean, he does fucking kill Django, which is fucking awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
When
Yes.
Django's supposed to be a badass and everything and all that shit. One thing I hated about that movie and Return of the Sith was I can't think of his fucking name now. Kit Fisto.
Yeah.
When he loses lightsaber during that fight, and oh no, he doesn't. Ki-Adi-Mundi does.
Ki-Adi-Mundi does.
Ki-Adi-Mundi does. Okay. Well, anyway, Kit Fisto is supposed to be this sword master, badass motherfucker, and he's like, boom block, boom dead by Sidious.
Yeah.
Sidious is a fucking badass.
Right.
But if you're at that level sword master, come on, you have to fucking do something better than that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
The
He was
whole
taking
the
out too
whole
easy.
Jedi killing thing was just fucking ridiculous to me. The Ki-Adi-Mundi dying, he blocks like 3 times. Supposedly he's supposed to be like the 3rd or 4th strongest Jedi.
Yeah.
He gets fucking demolished. The only one that senses it is Yoda. Like, really? Out of all of them?
One of
Those
my
3 dudes should have lasted longer. I'm sorry to
hell
be
yeah,
interrupted,
hell
but yeah, they definitely should have lasted longer.
Well, there's a friend I have, and we constantly have it. You know, we'll have debates like this, and he goes to the safe place where it's like, well, Sidious is fucking, you know, he's the strongest Sith ever. So if he's fighting someone, he could just manipulate and done it. I'm like, that's fucking easy. You know what I mean? Like,
It
you
is
can't.
easy out, yeah.
I mean, yeah, he did manipulate the Senate and Anakin, and yeah, I can see all that, but he's not gonna fucking like. Don't make a reasoning for everything when it has to do
He's
with
not
Sidious.
a Force God or something.
Right. It's, you know, like you said, if you're wielding a fucking lightsaber like a fucking maniac, you got to be able to stick up to him for at least a little bit. You know, it's
That yeah,
he's not that goddamn.
The scene was kind of lame.
Yeah.
And
I
you got to
agree with
think
you.
the other 2. I can't think of their names
That
right
first part of the scene was lame.
now. He one-shots 2 of them. I believe Kit Fisto blocks one. I haven't seen in a while. Blocks one shot and then dies.
Yeah.
He's a 4 Jedi Masters. They're not fucking Padawans. They're not
Masters.
fucking knights.
on the council.
They're masters on the console. So his masters aren't on the console. These are masters, the highest fucking tier, the
Right.
highest 15 Jedis in the
These
fucking
are level
universe.
20 Jedis.
And he's a badass.
Epic level.
But it's like they could have made a whole fucking half a movie with them killing the Jedi.
No, it's even, you know, if you read the Darth Bane books, he was powerful enough to wipe out an entire planet of Jedi and Sith. So you're like,
Yeah.
fuck, this guy's got some serious power.
got
But
juice.
then there, you know, as it goes along, he does have duels with Jedi and shit, but they're real fights. You know, he does win, but they keep up with him. Where
Yeah.
they're trying to make you believe that Sidious is just like, he'll mind fuck you right when you walk in the door and you're like, boom, dead. Like, even if you're a level 50 fucking swordsman or whatever. Like, it's ridiculous.
I mean, plus, with RPG terms, those Jedis definitely had flanking. So
Right.
they should have had a +2 on their attack.
Right.
Excellent
Bullshit.
point. Excellent point. Yes. Agreed.
Dork.
Dork.
But
What are we...
I know, it's called geeking out. But yeah, I mean, it's, you know, that was what was really disappointing. I mean, it was great when you got the feeling that it was going to be Sidious versus Yoda. And when you first saw it, it was like, wow, that blew your fucking mind. But then when you watch it 2 or 3 times and you're starting to notice stuff and dissecting it, it's like, this really sucked.
Yeah, they they
Like-
rushed to 2 awesome fights, don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, with Obi-Wan and Anakin as well.
Right.
But the Jedi it was just fucking stupid.
Yeah. I would have loved to have seen them walk through the door. They try to get Sidious. There's a huge battle that goes on for a long time. Yeah, he bests all the Jedi, but I want to see an epic fight. I don't want them to walk in and he's like, "You're dead. You're dead. You're
Maybe
dead."
Sidious gets 1 in the beginning.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
One.
One
And
unlucky
everybody's like, holy
motherfucker.
shit, we gotta fucking step up our game. This
Right.
guy ain't joking around.
Right.
But
But you figure the time to do one slice, they should be protecting and be able to block the next one.
Right. These
I
are
don't
good.
know.
These are people that can block, fucking blaster, fucking fight.
Right, and redirect them and all this other
Right.
shit. And it's just like,
Piss poor.
they were just forced to. Another thing too is the fuck is his name? The Caldor Master. Jay's gonna be pissed at me, by the way.
Caldor.
Keldor?
Caldor, yeah.
Plo Koon.
Plo Koon, yes.
Yep.
He's a expert starfighter, fucking
They take him
pilot.
out.
Yeah,
He's
2
like,
seconds.
He's like, oh, these guys are flying behind me. Okay, I won't think of that. I'm just gonna fucking drive.
He doesn't sense
Fuck.
anything. No, none of the Jedi sensed anything.
Yeah, not a fucking thing.
Aside
was-
from Yoda, which was amazing, by the way, how they did that. But
Well, he could feel the I have my own theory. Like, basically, I think because Kashyyyk was so far out, maybe, like, the transmission got there,
A little bit. Yeah, you could
Little
see
late.
he's like feeling it,
but he's feeling it
Yeah.
in real time.
sort of like
Through the
how
Force.
Obi-Wan fought or felt the Alderaan get blown
Alderaan,
up.
yeah.
Right.
So he used the same sort of like motion, like, oh fuck, what happened?
But okay, so I'll use Canny Mundy as a fucking example. So he's basically number 3, right?
Supposedly.
Can we agree on that?
Of like what?
Of the
Like-
Jedi Council.
Yeah, he's at least close to
It's-
that. At
it's-
least top
Well, you
5.
figure
at the
you
very
figure
least.
the seating is usually
It's going to
ranked.
tell you. Yeah,
So as Mace Windu is the 2, on his left and on the right is Ki-Adi Mundi.
right.
Oh, that's a good point.
And
Okay,
if
yeah.
you think about it, in Revenge of the Sith, Obi-Wan gets pushed closer.
Yeah, he's
if you
fourth,
look
I
at
think.
yeah, if you look at the
Fourth,
seating,
Really? Yeah.
he gets pushed
Okay.
closer to where Yoda
because
is.
Obi-Wan's a man.
Okay.
So Ki-Adi Mundi's number 3. So you would think to yourself, fuck, he's a pretty powerful Jedi too. So when he gets killed, he's got all these guys surrounding him. Okay, so I would assume that when they get clones or not, they're still human beings. When they get the call for Order 66, I would think that something in them would change physically, where they go from
The clones themselves.
yeah. I mean, just
Especially, go ahead, sorry.
but it's like if I'm a Jedi, okay, and I can have my eyes closed and da 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 and know exactly what you're doing behind me, okay, Ki-Adi Mundi should know that they totally changed their aura or whatever the fuck and put their goddamn guns on him. So he turns around like, what? you
Well, he
and
does
gets
block
smoked.
a few
Well, yeah.
shots, but especially the way they portray the relationships in Clone Wars.
Right.
As they're like fucking friendly, they're friends, aside from that four-armed dude that goes fucking berserk. Can't think of his name, the guy.
Oh
fuck, what's
yeah,
his name?
yeah.
But that guy.
The Basilisk.
Yeah. But they're all friendly, and they're like, oh yeah, fucking 9, 7, 14, 13, you're my boy, we're gonna go hang out and shit. Like, they have a real relationship. So if all of a sudden your so-called friend fucking starts hating you and is like,
You're
oh,
gonna feel
here's
it.
a gun,
So
it's gonna fucking change.
Yeah.
So, like in the end of the towards that last season of the Clone Wars, supposedly they had some kind of like bio
Right, like a chip in their
Chip
head, so to speak.
in
yeah.
their head. So, I feel like if that chip is basically switching off higher, how do I say it? Like higher, not higher
Aggression.
reasoning, but like decision making. Like if that thing switches on, it's like, oh, I'm not making decisions right now, and I'm just doing what it tells me. Then I can kind of justify how the Jedi didn't catch on, because you always hear them say, "Oh, search your feelings," or look for the like feel the feelings. So if the clones aren't feeling any feelings,
That makes sense.
then I can
see that argument.
I guess yeah. Like I'm not saying that's it. I'm saying that would be my argument on the
Like
other side of that.
nothing changed. Like they didn't be like,
It just
"Oh,
over,
I love
over-
you." Do. Oh, fuck you, motherfucker.
I don't.
Like,
Yeah, I don't think it was
I
an
don't think it was that
emotional thing.
like
yeah.
that aggressive or that.
But wouldn't they like if a Jedi can sit here and I'm without you saying shit, I can be like, oh, so you're having like a fucking depression today, you know what I mean? If these people, the clones, and now there's a ton of them, if they all had all these separate feelings, like I'm really worried about Anakin because we got this bond and all this shit, so Anakin can feel all that. Like,
Yeah.
if they go into battle, the thought process of the clones is like, we got to protect Anakin. Anakin can feel that. So if this chip did shut off something, wouldn't they sort of pick up on that?
I think that's the trick. It's not so much they're feeling this emotion or that emotion. It's the lack of emotion.
It's a lack.
And that's
Right.
why the
And for
Jedi
some
didn't
reason
pick
they-
up on it.
They're seeing like not exactly, but seeing red at the Jedi. Like, oh, I have to kill that fucking thing. That's a threat. One other thing I gotta think of too. Now
Something
thinking
like-
about this a little bit further.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Is every single scene you see, they're in battle. So the Jedi could be focused on the battle, and the clones the droids or whoever up above or whatever the case may be. So they're not like your example. They're not sitting in a room and being like, oh,
Total focal
okay,
point.
total focus.
Right.
They're
Like
focused
tunnel
on the
vision.
battle.
Right, right.
So that could be part of it as well. Just to rationalize it.
But you also have to think to yourself too. At this point, and I'm not taking anything away from they're going to personally be pissed at me. I'm not going to take anything away from any of like the Jedi and stuff. But I mean, there were thousands of them at this point. and they had an academy, and they would teach like classes. It wasn't like
Right.
a one-on-one thing. So I would think that the training for the Jedis sort of got lackadaisical,
I agree.
where they weren't the Jedis
Yeah.
that maybe were 100 years ago.
Right.
So that could factor in too. I mean, you got a Mace Windu, you got a Kiani-Mundi, you got an Anakin, Obi-Wan. Those
We got
fuckers.
some stars.
But then you got a lot of bullshit Jedi.
Well, I think
You know.
that's like, lack of a better word, the naturals. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
those are the ones, regardless, are gonna whip your ass.
but you got to
know.
figure, Darth Maul was the only fucking Sith they've found in over 1,000 years or whatever.
Right.
That they saw.
Right.
They didn't know who the fuck. Like Yoda said, is that the master or the apprentice? We don't fucking know. They don't know. It could be just be the apprentice hanging around.
Right.
So they didn't have any real world like okay, we gotta fucking fight this or something, or we gotta fight this feeling. And I think that's part of why Yoda says he failed. One, he didn't fucking beat Sidious, but he's the fucking Grand Master. He's essentially
Been around for close to a century.
yeah, he fucking probably trained every single master there one way or the
Oh
other.
yeah.
Plus all the younglings and the knights and all that shit. So that's why I think he says he fails, not just because he lost the fight, but because he essentially let the Jedi down.
Well, you think of it too when they sat there and they said, "Well, it's been a millennium. It was fucking 1,000 years." The last time there was a Sith around was even before Yoda.
Right.
You know, because
Right.
when he dies
He's a
he's
1,000.
like he's 900 years
900,
old
yeah.
basically.
Right.
So it was 100 years that they had not even been around. So how is he going to teach these Jedi how to fight Sith? It's just from fucking, rumors and writings and shit like that.
Another point too is Darth Bane basically through the majority of the time that we went from Darth Bane to Sidious, Yoda was in charge through most of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you go back to that thing you were just saying, like he feels like it's his failure, like yeah, no shit.
Yeah,
They've
it
been
is.
doing
Yeah.
this the whole time you were there.
Right.
They've totally pulled, and I think that complacency of the Jedi you were talking about, I think that's why Darth Sidious
Right.
could pull the veil
Yep.
over even Yoda's eyes because they became complacent and they just weren't prepared for it.
You know what would be a good little backstory for that is that they know that. The Sith know it. You know what I mean? Like 100 years into it, they go, well, this is the Grand Master of the fucking Jedi. Let's really figure this guy out. And he also comes from a fucking species that lives forever, basically, for fucking
He's a
hundreds of
one-of.
years. So,
Kinda.
yeah, so
Maybe he's a
let's-
virgin in the Force.
Right.
Maybe that's what they look like when they don't look like Anakin.
But they could have, over the course of centuries, been teaching each other how to deal with the fact that Yoda was running the Jedis the way he
Yep.
was.
Yeah, sure.
And that, like, Yoda, everybody's like, oh, he's the most powerful Jedi ever, and da-da-da.
He is badass.
He is. But in the end, he was a fuck-up. Like, he was the reason why the Jedi failed. Like, he
I
said
wouldn't
it,
say
and I
he's
think
the
it's
reason,
fucking
but
true.
he's complicit in an innocent way. Like he didn't
Yeah,
realize
yeah.
it.
It wasn't like he was a dumbass, but... Yeah, he is the sole reason why it failed.
I mean, you got to think
to-
though. I know they were generals and shit like that in the Clone Wars. Like he knew Palpatine was a fucking shady motherfucker before he was officially Sidious,
Right.
and he knew shit was going on that was going behind the scenes, so to speak. He could have fucking stopped that before he was actually, I'm the fucking Sith Lord, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, it would have been look like Civil War or something. But he could have, who's going to fucking stand up to the Jedi? You know what I mean?
One of the
Well,
biggest...
he would have been doing. Sorry, he would have been doing exactly what Palpatine accused them of at the end of the movie.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But Sidious wouldn't have been there.
True.
If they would have had
Drastic
1,000
times call for
Jedi...
drastic measures
Yeah, if they
kind
would
of
have had
thing.
1,000 Jedi being, like, surrounding his fucking chambers or something, it's Sidious, but I doubt he's going to kill that many.
No. But I think, and if you read the timelines, the tide changed when Plagueis came around, because Plagueis treated it more like being a politician, but he
Yeah.
didn't have the physical. Yeah, I mean, he was, and that's basically how he found Palpatine, because he was sort of mixing it up with government people and shit like that. So you would be under the assumption that, in a sense, or even physically, that there was a time when Plagueis probably interacted with Yoda, and probably tried figuring him out. And what made Plagueis and Palpatine so much different is because they were intellects, where you had, I mean, Darth Bane was too, but then like there's a big lineage of Sith that were just, we want power and lightning and fucking red
Right.
lightsabers.
Bane was more of a fighter than like. Bane was fucking diabolical, and,
Yeah.
he had wheels within wheels and
Right.
whatever, schemes within schemes, but not. I agree with you, not to the point where Palpatine.
They had
and-
the intellectual, let's really be underground, think about this shit.
Yeah.
So that's what leads me to believe that they spent a ton of time knowing the inner workings of the Jedi. You know, knowing Yoda, knowing Mace Windu, knowing how they're teaching their shit, and they could counteract that. Where there's a EU story as to why the Jedi Temple is where it is on Coruscant, because there was an ancient Sith
Yeah,
Right,
I
yeah.
know that
temple
too,
there, so they wanted to block that out.
because it's some kind of vergence of the Force,
Right.
that area.
So there's like the way that I think about it is maybe Sidious knew that, and maybe
Definitely,
he fucking basically tapped into that,
That's
and
right.
that's a big reason why everything was cloudy, because he could tap into the dark side
Whenever he
force that
wanted
they
to.
were trying to suppress for so long,
Oh, okay.
and it just made them all just fucking, we don't know what the fuck's going on.
Plus-
He built his temple on the ruins of the Jedi
Right,
temple.
right.
You gotta figure too, they probably had some Sith holocrons in the Jedi Temple.
Oh, absolutely.
Without a doubt, they did.
Yeah.
So I mean, he could definitely pull off of that. One other thing with Yoda too, and the Jedi being cocky or whatever, his fucking former Padawan Dooku fell to the dark side.
Right.
Instead of being, I don't know if Dooku would have, but Dooku seemed like he wanted to talk to Obi-Wan about what the fuck was really going on.
Right.
If Yoda walked up to Dooku and was like, "Tell me what's going on," instead of being a cocky dickhead,
Yep.
we could handle this shit. We could
Yeah, I
probably
always-
talk it out.
Yeah, I always
I'm-
thought that too.
And I'm pretty sure that could happen because Dooku, you saw him like going both ways. He's like, "Oh, I wish Qui-Gon was still alive." He would understand because he knows, Qui-Gon was a fucking intellectual and all that stuff too. And he was trying to get Obi-Wan on his side without telling him exactly what's going on.
And even back then when that was happening, it sort of made you think like, shit, is Dooku a good guy and a bad guy? There's a gray area there.
Right.
And it would be great if they're going with the gray Jedi stuff in the new movies, if they sort of, if they're going to do like cues and Easter eggs and calling back to shit, like maybe there were some Jedi back then that were figuring out what they're trying to do in these
It
new
would have
movies.
made him a little more realistic too. Like if he was more like, yeah, I'm doing this shady shit, doing it for the greater good, and I really believe in this, and I'm not doing it. I don't. If I don't believe that Dooku thought Dooku was evil.
Yeah, I don't either.
Like if you really want to flesh out that character, that's how I feel.
I wish they would have like portrayed more of how that happened, like the Dooku Sidious relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you just see they're fully like apprentice master level. That's all you see in the movies and in Clone Wars, the animated series. I wish they would have seen like Dooku's about to kill Sidious or something, or fight him, and he's like, "Wait a second, let me tell you something.
I
This is
think
what's
that
going
there's
on."
something like that in the books.
Is there?
But they literally talk about it just as long, exactly what you said. Like, Dooku was going to take out. He knew who Sidious was. He figured it out, and he went to go kill him. And then they had a conversation, and then he left as his apprentice.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, you can't really. I mean, yeah, Dooku was his apprentice, but it's not like he was training him to be a Jedi. He already knew his shit. It was just
Yeah.
like here's these little secret powers that they don't tell you about.
Right.
That's what Palpatine was teaching him.
That's why I don't even really consider him like a true apprentice. Like,
Right.
I don't think. I think that Dooku had the intentions upon using Sidious for whatever. And this is what I get from the conversation. Well, like I wish Qui-Gon was here because, this, that, and the other thing.
Maybe
I-
we could.
Right. We
Qui-Gon
could.
probably would have teamed up with him to go kill Sidious.
Yeah, and
wouldn't
I
doubt
think
that.
I think almost it's like it'd be a cool story to elaborate on, where it's like maybe he was being a double agent. He was making Sidious believe like, "Yep, I'm with you, buddy," but he really wasn't, because he knew he was a Sith.
I mean that
I feel like that conversation was a bait and switch.
It could be true because I mean, obviously, this is all how you take things.
Right.
But when Anakin has Dooku arms chopped off, about to fucking decapitate him, and Sidious is like, kill him. Like, you almost see that in his face, like he knows he's a double agent or something.
Yeah.
Like, he's evil as shit. It could have just been that's it.
Yeah.
But
That's
reading
right,
between the lines sort of thing, you could think, okay, maybe he knows he was
Maybe
trying
he
to
knew he was getting
manipulate-
used.
Yep.
You know.
And he knew, in that point, he had Anakin. Because Anakin's like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, blah, blah, blah.
Well,
And-
not even that he was getting used, but like, dude, you think you were playing me? I'm playing you the whole
Right.
time. Fucking
Yeah, because that's the way I look at it. Is he used Dooku, you know, because he knew he could put him in charge of the bullshit war that he was starting.
Definitely used Duke.
Big time.
Definitely.
And he knew that it was gonna make Anakin feel like, fuck, I'm doing something good for the Republic. I just killed the leader of the fucking Separatists. You know what I mean? And even though, you know, and then you fill in the family shit. This was all just chess, you know. And he was just part of the fucking chess game.
I mean, Palpatine was just creating chaos so he could climb the ladder, so to speak. You know, like
And get full power of the Republic.
he was basically the Rothschilds. He
Yeah.
funded both sides of that fucking war.
Yep.
Yep.
He pulled
Because
all those strings.
you remember in Clone Wars, he's like, oh, we're losing this war. We need more money. I need full power to give all these more troops to these planets to let us survive. And everyone's like, yeah. And, of course, the Padme thing, oh, this is the time democracy dies with thunderous applause thing.
Yep.
And that's, you know, exactly what he did.
That, I think, if overall in the prequels was the best storyline, was how he manipulated everything. Where
Yeah.
you started figuring out, like, shit, he's actually in charge of this side fighting this side, and this is how he's doing it. Like, fuck, that's genius. Like, I
Yeah.
think that was very well fucking written throughout all three
Right.
films.
Definitely. That
It's just everything in between.
that is probably the best subplot of the entire.
Yeah.
of the
Like,
entire
you know what's
prequel.
going on, but obviously, like, in the movie, the people don't, so it's like, oh, man, I wonder how this is going to... Like, you knew the end game, what was going to happen,
Right.
but you just weren't wondering how they would get to that point.
Yeah, yeah.
And one thing I thought of, too, not to get too much on the other movies, but after he kills Dooku, he's like, oh, leave Obi-Wan. Or he didn't say Obi-Wan, but leave him. And Anakin's like, our fate will be the same or whatever. I
He's
wonder
like,
if...
fuck.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he has, like, a premonition of him defeating Anakin later on or something.
Our fates will be the same because they all die on a Death Star.
Right, that's what Anakin says.
Yeah.
Anakin died. Yeah, our fates will be the same. Palpatine dies on the Death Star. Anakin dies before he
He's probably on the Death Star, I would think.
yeah, and so does Obi-Wan. He dies
Yeah.
on a Death Star. No, he doesn't die on a Death Star.
Obi-Wan did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, he
one.
did.
The
Yeah,
one
yeah,
who
yeah, he
Falcon
did.
got
Yeah,
sucked
that's
in
right.
and all that
They
stuff.
all die on a Death Star. Our fates will be the same. I bet Lucas did that on purpose.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
probably. But I'm saying from the Sidious, like, viewpoint, he wanted to leave Obi-Wan there and blow up with the ship because he knew he was going to fuck up Anakin later.
Guaranteed.
So
Yeah, he
that was
definitely wanted to
interesting.
get Obi-Wan out of the way.
Yeah, he knew exactly what was going to happen to Anakin because even when Anakin was walking in, I don't know if you guys know this, you probably do, into the opera house, he literally had the schematics to the Vader outfit on his screen. He turned it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, go back and watch it. You see the Vader mask. So he knew, right before he told the whole Plagueis thing, he knew exactly what was going to happen. He had already started designing his suit.
I got one problem with that end scene aside from the no,
Oh,
which
God
was super
damn it.
fucking lame. So they get Anakin on the table, and they just start attaching Darth Vader parts to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, take off the dirty burnt clothes,
Right.
the fucking wounds.
Yeah.
That's not how medical.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, let's
Again,
clean them.
it was rushed, like,
Yeah.
most of that movie.
Yeah.
I remember sitting there going, "Don't say it, don't say it."
Like, if you just sat there just like,
When I went to see it, everybody laughed.
and just
Yeah.
like blew everything up and squished everything, that would have been fucking fine. But he really didn't need to scream like
Then
a
what
fucking
pissed me off
douchebag.
even more is they do the fucking Blu-ray, and he says it in fucking Return of the Jedi. The whole no shit again. I'm like, did you not learn from when you did it in Revenge of the Sith?
But like beyond
Oh,
that,
hell.
the real big problem with that ending is none of it should have been there. It should have ended with Palpatine on the lava beach. Oh, we'll get you some help.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have saw it again, because what is the biggest fucking reveal in movie history? I am your father.
Right.
That should not have been in a fucking prequel.
Right.
How is it a big reveal? George
That's a
Lucas
good
wasn't
point.
thinking about
I
that.
never thought about that.
Yeah.
Come
'Cause
on.
normally, if he watches the Star Wars movies, he's gonna probably go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's gonna already know who the fuck it is.
Yeah, so it's no big deal.
So it's like whatever. Even though Vader means father in German, but it's
Yeah.
still like you still don't really think about that, especially when I'm 10 years old or whatever when I first seen it.
Less than a year ago, I sat with my daughter, who is now 5. And went through all the movies with her. And on that part, I went, "Hey, pay attention to this part. Look what happens to Anakin." And she knows who Darth Vader is already. She knows Darth Vader is a character, you know. And I'm like, "Look, watch what happens to Anakin." And she's sitting there and she's watching, and then she sees the parts going on Anakin, and I'm like, "Who's Darth Vader?" And she goes, "Anakin." And like, I was just like, "Ooh."
Just imagine having that
Like-
first like connection
Yeah.
to Star Wars again. Like it's still fucking wonderful, but just be like, "Oh, the dots are connecting. This is fucking amazing."
Well, I can literally remember when Empire came out, and you just thought it was Vader was a motherfucker, and you didn't really know what was going on. You just liked
Yeah.
all the blowing up and the lightsabers, and you're like, whoa. But then when Empire came, it became a movie. You know what I mean? With a storyline. A New Hope was like, it was an introduction. There was blowing up shit. There were effects
Very
you
low
never saw.
budget.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there wasn't truly a story. If you really think about it, Empire comes in, and when that point came where they're fighting, you felt like something was building up. And when he
Yeah.
ever said, "I'm your father," you're like, "Fuck that."
That's
Like-
not true.
But in
I
a
feel
se-
you, Luke.
But in a sense, it humanized Vader instantly.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where before he was just a machine that was killing people and he was a bastard. But that's when it built it into an actual story in a movie because it humanized him. Where you're like, oh yeah, fuck, there's something underneath that. You know what I mean? And you never thought like, holy fuck, this changes the entire thing now. Like that's his dad. Like how'd that happen? You know? And I remember that as a kid, as young as I fucking was, where it was like, it was the biggest thing I ever fucking saw in my life.
That was a terrible no. That's impossible as well. What Luke said.
I love it.
That was a terrible no.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah. Whenever I think of Empire and being a kid, it always reminds me of that Christmas because my mom is first generation Portuguese, so we didn't speak Portuguese in the home. My dad is right off the boat.
Yeah.
Like almost literally. So, and you know, typical back then, my dad didn't live with me, right? So he's coming, you know, it's one of the times they're there and they're talking about what they're gonna get me for Christmas. And I don't speak Portuguese and they do, right? And they think they're being slick, but I hear gibberish, 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 Millennium Falcon, gibberish, 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 stupid motherfuckers. I know what I'm getting.
That's all I
Better be the
needed to hear.
Millennium Falcon. It
True.
fucking better be.
There's no Portuguese for Millennium Falcon.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you don't know that word in Portuguese, motherfucker? Think you're slick?
That's what Meme used to do that too. I'd sit on the porch with all of them, and they'd all be like, but then one thing would slip, and you'd be like, I know what the fuck you're talking about.
My Portuguese is very rudimentary. Like if I hear somebody having a conversation, I can be like, I think they're talking about soccer.
Yeah.
Oh, and they're mad.
Yeah.
Oh, that team's not losing.
Doesn't that go hand in hand?
Yes.
Well,
I guess so. Yeah.
My biggest thing, and God rest her soul, is whenever she would talk about or to my grandfather, her face would change first off, and then she would say like maybe 2 or 3 of the same words all the time. So as I, over the years, I hear these things, and when I got to be about 15 or 16, I'm like, why do you say that about Pepe? And she bursted out laughing. She's like, I can't tell you that. So I went to my aunt at the time, Aunt Lorette, and I said, why does she say like Muji Cajon and fucking all this stuff to Pepe, and she laughs too. And I'm like, come on, somebody fucking tell me. It was all swear words.
Oh yeah.
She was calling him a dickhead. She was calling him a motherfucker. Like, so I'm like,
Well, yeah,
that
I
makes
know
sense.
all the Portuguese swears. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the most important.
Yeah. So
That's
I was like,
the
wow. But they were real. My grandmother was a fucking saint. But when she talked French, apparently she became a fucking truck driver, because she was calling my grandfather some real lewd shit.
Hey, as long as it was cool with them.
Yeah.
My wife said some rude shit to me, but it's all in good. It's all in good fun. Like on our honeymoon, she was like, she took.
Where's
she
the rest
takes,
of it?
She takes this. She takes this picture. I was like, we're on the vineyard, and I was like, take a picture of me on this rock. And I climb up on the rock. She takes the picture. I come back down. And I'm like, I look fat in this camera on this picture. And she's like, yeah, it's not a magic fucking camera.
That's great.
And that's why you love her.
She's funny.
All right, so back to The Last Jedi and the next movie, whatever it's called. I think that obviously Han Solo's died in the first movie of the trilogy.
That's confirmed. Yes.
Yes, that's confirmed. That is
Yes.
supposedly he might have fell and grew wings or something.
Yeah, he's
Um,
dead. He's dead.
Obviously, it seems like Leia's gonna die in this one way or the other, and I believe Luke's gonna die in the last one.
Yeah, I kinda
One way or the other.
was feeling that.
And I
too.
think they're gonna do that to officially like kill off the old school
Yeah,
and
move
open
on.
it up for whoever is the great Jedi or whatever the case may be.
Now here's something to think about. So maybe in this one, Kylo Ren starts going more towards the light side of the Force. So Snoke doesn't want to give up on him. So when you see that scene where you think that Kylo Ren is fucking gonna kill Leia, maybe it's Snoke that kills Leia
Oh.
To get him over, yeah.
to pull him back in.
How do you feel about the theory that Kylo is basically doing a Snape? Like I don't agree with this theory, but I feel like like basically he's a double agent too. Like he's
Yeah.
I feel like he's done some stuff to disprove that, like killing all those people in the first movie, like in the
I don't think
village.
that's true because I wouldn't
Yeah.
think Luke is in hiding and all this shit because, like, he's a double agent.
Yeah,
maybe
all right.
maybe the double agent thing you're looking at is he's not out to be a double agent. Where you see the struggles in the Force Awakens, where he is just like Anakin, he is a good dude, but he wants to be powerful. So I think he's got more of the emo fucking childish shit. Like I don't really know what's good and bad. So maybe if I just fucking kill my father, it will get me some stuff. But he's still gonna feel like shit about it. So
Yeah.
maybe that kind of double agency is what I'm thinking.
Okay.
I don't think it's like he's sought out to be.
Well, I think
Like
Han like wanted him to kill him. Not well, obviously in real life he wanted to be out of
He
the
wanted
fucking
to be
movies.
Indiana Jones.
But yeah, but like he thought he was given a gift to his son to let go like one last time.
Yeah.
So he was like, just do it. Like, hey, I'll fucking hold the goddamn lightsaber with you. Let's do it together, sort of thing.
I was thinking that too, but I don't know.
Because why else would he? Like, he knew what. I would think he would know what the hell's going on. Like, oh, come over here, Ben. Like, go down the fucking the catwalk thing and all that
was
stuff.
fueling my Kylo Ren double agent. What you just said was fueling my Kylo Ren double agent theory for a while.
Yeah.
That's what, but I don't know.
But I
I'm
guess,
on
you
the fence
know,
about it.
as a father, you got to think there's always hope for your kids. You know what I mean? So you're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
if he sees me face to face, even though he hates me for whatever reason we're not 100% sure of.
See, that's what I thought. I think it was no matter what, he might, he knows that he's fucking evil at this point.
And he did-
knows that he might die, but it's still his kid, and he wants
Right,
to
he wants
confront
to. He at least wants to say one way or the other, he fucking tried to bring him back.
him. Right.
So.
And I think Han Solo, as a character, I think, when we meet him in A New Hope, he doesn't give a flying shit about anything. Like, it's basically Chewbacca and fucking money. Like, he doesn't
Right.
fucking
Yeah.
care. So, as he goes along, he starts feeling like a human being. He's got friends, he's got this, that, and the other thing.
Falls in love, blah, blah, blah.
I think he wants to believe that he doesn't care.
Right, yeah. But then by The Force Awakens, I think, that his marriage failed, his kid's fucking a Sith Lord now. You know, like fucking, like I think he's gone back to really not giving a fuck again. So when it comes to him, I think it was his like I think he knew he was gonna die. Like I think that he went up and but he wanted to give that fucking effort. But I don't think he cared either way if he lived or died at that point. I think that that's where the character was when that happened.
Yeah.
You know?
Like maybe that's why he was like, I'll go blow up this fucking place. I know Kylo's there. I want to go see him.
Right.
I
And
think
whatever.
I think you might be onto something with that. Like, yeah, maybe he did want to die. Maybe he just didn't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah.
And that's why, exactly what you just said. That's why he was like, yeah, let's go do this suicide mission.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Yep. I think if he would have been able to reach out to fucking Colonimus fucking Ren there, it might have made it a little better. You know what I mean? But I still think he was in a point in his life where it was like, fuck it. Like I just don't care. I love my kids and shit. It'd be great, but if he fucking kills me, I don't care.
Even if it wasn't necessarily, he didn't necessarily knew that his kid was going to kill him. Maybe he just knew he was going to die, or just didn't give a fuck if he died, or whatever. But have we finished the trailer yet? Have we gotten through the fucking
Yeah,
trailer?
the trailer's done.
The trailer. Oh yeah, that's right. The trailer's done. Yeah, that's right. All right.
I'm sorry.
No, I remember you saying it now. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You're, all right.
And my last note on what has come out for The Last Jedi and shit was the poster. You notice Luke in the background
All right.
behind everyone. You look at every other movie poster, the bad guys in the background.
Yep.
Oh.
Every other one, it's either Anakin, Darth Vader, and about probably almost all of them. And so, like, of course, people are thinking, okay, does that mean he's going to turn to the dark side? Does that mean, you know,
Misdirection.
what's going to happen?
But here's
It's possible.
Yeah, I think it is too. I think they really, really sat down and thought about fucking with us with this
Right.
one, and I think they're doing an excellent fucking way of doing it. But if you think about you're looking at the poster right now. So he's here, and I think Rey is over here, and Kalo's here. So fucking, but he's. I keep saying it, and I know his fucking name. But he's in the background like normally, but I think they're fucking with you because basically what he's telling both of them is that you need balance. You know what I mean?
Right. It's more of a, like, balanced
Right.
picture than anything.
Right.
I mean, they know what the fuck they're doing.
They do.
And this whole trailer was a fucking look this way, but really you can't see what's going on.
Yes. Yeah.
So I could see that. Obviously, Star Wars fans and stuff are going to see these similarities and all that crap.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not that hard to put all the posters together and be like, wow, Darth Vader's in every single one of those in the back, or the bad guy is, or whatever.
Right.
Oh shit, Luke's there now? Wow.
But the way that those were positioned, if you really think about all of them, is you had Vader in the back, maybe Palpatine fucking to the right, but they were always in the back, looming in space. And then you had, you know, the hero in the middle, fucking Luke with his lightsaber and all his friends around him.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was almost like the ominous, like looking down sort of deal.
Right.
So yeah, I think they were throwing you off with that. There was also this little theory that the positioning of the poster, you can draw Vader's mask.
Yeah,
on
I saw
everybody,
that too.
which was pretty cool.
So if it's all misdirection, and Luke is in the bad guy space, and Rey is in the hero space, if it's misdirection, then Rey's not the hero.
Yeah, I mean, you could throw everything on the opposite side.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I definitely could see them having Rey, because it seems obvious Rey is going to be the good guy,
Right.
and Kylo, fucking Kino,
Claudius.
is going to be the bad guy. That's what it seems like. And that's what it's been so far.
Yeah.
I could see them easily flip-flopping. And maybe that scene we see with Snoke and Rey, she's like, okay, I'll fucking do it. I need your help anyway, because this fucking douchebag's not going to train me. And
He's like, boo, fucking
and
hero.
Kylo, maybe after he doesn't kill Leia, he goes find fucking Luke. And Luke's like, oh, I really do love you. This bitch fucking just left. And they get to training and, you know, fucking have some butt sex or whatever. And all of a sudden he's on the light side. And now turn everything upside down. The only reason I don't think they would do that, well, not the only reason, but one reason is this is a women lead. You don't want the women to all of a sudden be a fucking bad guy. Like, all the little girls with the costumes and stuff would be like, yeah, I don't want to be her anymore.
Yeah.
And that would kill their whole marketing, which obviously they're very high about with Porgs and
Yeah,
etc., etc.
I'd be kind of pissed because I've been pushing. Like my daughter knows who Ray is. She has a spoon with Ray on it.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, I want this spoon. She made me fucking wash it today so she can eat cereal with a Ray spoon. So
I could see that happening. It would be a relatively different way to do it
yeah,
because it was pretty obvious who was good and bad in the movies to begin with.
yeah.
And with this whole misdirection thing, I could see them doing something like that. But
I like we were just saying, I think when they sat down, they said, okay, we're making the next movie. They knew it was gonna, like Mark Hamill's been saying it too, like, holy shit, I didn't know that they were going this way. Like, he has fucking come out and said that. So I think there's a big thing going on. And they sat down and they literally just planned out, like, how do we just, we'll give them a hint of shit, but we need to throw them the fuck off everything.
Do you think they're gonna like really flesh out the characters like George Martin fleshed out like Jaime Lannister, like Jaime Lannister in the books and the show, he becomes this person that you root for, and then you go, oh wait a minute, this motherfucker pushed the kid out the window. I can't root. But like, oh, okay, yeah, he's not that bad.
you gotta think, if you were banging your sister, right, and someone caught you, your first instinct would be like, peace.
Yeah.
You gotta think of it. I mean, it
From
wasn't
his
cool.
perspective, from
It's
that
not
Animal
very-
instinct comes in.
Yeah, something you're trying to hide from. Essentially, you're gonna be.
I don't
You're
know,
the
dude.
hand.
I would have been like, hey, I'll give you some candy.
Yeah, I'll give you
if
some
you
dick. If
Don't
you
tell.
I have a van.
No, that's not where I was going with that.
That's where this fucker went.
Oh Jesus! No, I think I would have tried to like fucking bribe the kid or something first before I pushed him out a goddamn fucking window. I don't know, but like my point to this is, do you think they will flesh out Kylo Ren like they fleshed out a character like Jaime Lannister? Because that is a character that definitely has grown and changed. Like you're like, oh, this guy's a fucking douche. But by the end, you're really torn up about how you feel about this guy. Like,
Yeah, he seems like he's gonna go on the so-called good side and help them out now.
You see him do good shit, and then you see him bang his sister, and then you push kids out. Yeah, I don't know. He goes back and forth. But my point to that is, Jaime Lannister is one of the most real characters you can relate to, like a real person, because real people aren't archetypes of fucking good and evil. They're both. They have everything, and it's a little bit of everything. You don't make the perfect decisions every fucking day. No, you're not a hero every fucking day. You screw up. Sometimes you're like driving in the car and you're like, fuck that guy. You shouldn't have yelled fuck you to that guy.
And other times
you
you'll
felt.
let that guy go.
Huh?
And other times you'll let that guy go.
Yeah, exactly.
like,
Just because you're a good person doesn't mean you've done some real evil shit or thought some evil shit. That's just what we are.
Yeah.
It's sometimes you could walk down the street and you could see a fucking dog yapping at you. You could have a thought of kicking that dog in the fucking head, but you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
That dude, the therapist guy, Jordan Peterson, says he believes that in order to really be altruistic, you have to know what your capacity is for evil.
Right.
Like, you have those evil thoughts, but like, okay, I'm not going to act on these evil thoughts or something like that. Going back to it, like, I think it would be good if they could flesh out Kylo Ren like they fleshed out Jaime Lannister.
And that's exactly the way they should do it, because in The Force Awakens, like, everyone's like, oh, he's a whiny bitch and all that stuff. But if you really pay attention to the writing and the way that Adam Driver is acting and stuff like that, he is fucking conflicted.
Definitely.
It's not a
Definitely.
it's not a true, like, I'm gonna be a fucking Sith Lord, I'm gonna rule the galaxy. He's conflicted with a ton of shit.
What's his fucking end game, though? What's his point?
Right.
Like, he's searching for
There's
power.
really no end game that you can see right now.
None.
None at all.
Why is he?
I mean, if you the way they could do what you're talking about, like they did with Jamie, is if they told more of his backstory. You got to look at it like people.
I think they
essentially
will. In this,
they probably
in this
will,
world.
but I think people take things, in real life or whatever the fuck you want to say, take things differently than other people. So you got to look. His mom and his father are pretty much non-existent in his life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
His father's going wherever. You don't know. Maybe he was forced into the Jedi training just because he showed some
Yep.
Force powers. And now he hates his fucking uncle because he's forcing him to do things he doesn't want to do. And then the Palpatine of this trilogy comes over and is like, "Oh, how you doing? You want some candy?" And then all of a sudden, like, "Oh, those guys are bad. Come with me. We can do what you want. Oh, by the way, your grandfather was fucking cool. You should like him."
Yes.
And then, like, just that way, you don't know the exact reasoning behind why he became Kilo Kylo fucking fruit.
But here's the thing too: is like he clearly knows who his parents are. Not like the Jedi of old that were taken as basically babies and knew nothing about their fucking
Right.
parents. So they were disconnected from that. So you have, and that was the problem with Anakin, is Anakin had this strong bond with his mother, and that's what made him fucked up a lot. So you have to really consider, and I go with everything that you just said. So Han and Leia, and you can even read this in the books that are in between, is that they basically gave him to Luke and said, "See you later." She went off to be a general. Han Solo fucking took off because they're not getting along anymore, and he went back to smuggling and shit. So he was like, "All right, so I'm here with Luke." And like you said, Luke is like, "All right, you little fucker, I'm going to make you the most powerful Jedi ever." And this is where I think Rey comes into play, because he was probably all into fucking Kylo Ren, and fucking all of a sudden Rey comes and he notices something in Rey or something like that, and all of a sudden he's not that important, or he has to share his shit.
Right.
You know, because he's a very young child and he just got abandoned by his fucking parents. So there's a lot of conflict there. So like you said, Snoke comes in, says, "Oh, you want a fucking Vader sandwich?" And fucking all that. And he's like, "Finally, I sort of have a place."
I have someone that actually likes me now.
Yeah, but in the back of his head, if you just
And he
think
does-
about psychological shit, your parents could be the biggest pieces of shit on the planet. They're still your parents, and in the back of your head, you're going to be like, "I just want them to love me, and I want to love them."
Yeah.
So that's the shit he's going through.
He does
I
have
think.
a bit of that similar conflict that Anakin had.
Yeah.
About not having his parents around. Or was speculating, but yeah, that's definitely.
I mean, you figure
Huh.
too, like when Shmi got captured and got killed, that's essentially what
What flipped him?
flipped him. Because before that, he was like the little fucking ponytail dude, like, "Oh, let's go, Obi-Wan, I love you.
I wanna
You're
fuck
my
Padme."
brother. May the force be with you. Ha ha ha." And then, like, and then all of a sudden that happened. He's like, "I killed them all, motherfuckers. I don't give a shit. Not just the men, the women and the children too, and those fucking dogs that almost killed me."
And their little dog, too.
And do you think, here's the confusing part about that, is so he basically goes to Padme and he's like all creepy all throughout the movie, right? So then finally she's sort of getting into him. So then he goes like, "Shit, I just massacred like innocent kids and shit."
She's totally cool with it.
Yeah.
And she was like,
Doesn't
She's like,
fucking
"I am
flinch.
fucking so wet right now."
right. It's
Can
the
I
bad boy
have-
thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you wrap me around with that friggin' hand?
Yeah. Can you tell me how you killed the kids?
Yes.
Oof.
Next time you watch the prequel trilogy, go in it with the preconceived thought that Padme
It's a whore.
originally was banging Obi-Wan,
Hmm.
and then she kind of settled for Anakin. Go watch the prequels with that in your head, and you'll be like, "Oh shit!"
Good one. Which is really even
telling you.
creepier.
I'm telling you, go back.
I mean, there is stories of Obi-Wan like asking Anakin to pretty much leave the order for some chick or something, and I'm guessing it was him that actually said, "Oh no, we don't want to do that" or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think there was some temptation there. Like, Obi-Wan's fucking awesome, but he wasn't the perfect Jedi soldier that
No.
everyone
No.
thinks he was either.
But nobody is perfect.
No.
He is a paragon of what you think a Jedi is, but at the same
But
time,
who the fuck would sit there for 30 years in a desert or something for maybe the person that's going to save this, like, galaxy or whatever?
Because he really had no other options. I mean, and
he had
you
to
know-
go into hiding.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't have to fucking, he didn't have to do that.
No.
No.
He did that because he believed in the Jedi way and everything. He believed, like, this is the secret of I need to protect this person. He could have just did anything. He could have went into hide in that freaking unknown regions or something. Where
Yeah,
they,
he could have just left the kid and gone, but
Yeah.
he wanted to make sure the kid was going to be okay. Because who was there to protect him?
right.
And what's funny,
Uncle
if you,
Ben.
Yeah, he did
if you-
well.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He became a barbecue.
And if you think about Qui-Gon, right, and really think about this too, like, he should have been on the council and all that stuff. And they always said, like, well, you're a little fucking disgruntled and all this shit. I think Qui-Gon was probably way smarter than most of the fucking Jedi. And I think he was closer to being, like, what the balance of the Force was, because he was sort of that gray, Jedi sort of deal. He wasn't, like, dipping into dark side shit. But a lot of the stuff that the Jedi did, he's like, that's sort of fucked up.
Right.
Have you guys
Yeah.
really thought about this? And they're like, no, we know more than you, Qui-Gon. You know?
Well, the whole story with the Jedi are they were really lax and shit got out of hand. They didn't know who was Force sensitive. They didn't know all this bullshit.
Yeah.
And then I forgot exactly the whole story, but essentially they fucking cut all ties with like being free and having wives and all that shit, and became very strict. And that was because of people like essentially fucking abusing the system, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know what? I forgot who was talking about it like 2 hours ago. I think those books in the tree, the journals of the wills,
I didn't mention that. I had that on my list too.
I think that might be what Luke means. We need to go back to the more original
Yeah, the basics. Where it was supposed to
of
be.
what it was supposed to be, and not what the Jedi derived from it or what it became.
Right. Yep.
You know, like
Like one with the Force, not like a society, like on light or dark sort of thing. Sorry.
I've heard some stuff about like Christianity, like where originally like Jesus's message was,
He didn't want a Catholic church.
it was more of like enlightenment, or
Yeah.
more of like almost more of like a Buddhist kind of vibe, and obviously Jesus had nothing to fucking do with the Catholic Church or what it has grown into. So like if you think about it from that perspective, that's what the Jedi Order became, like Catholicism and the Vatican and all that shit.
Yeah, and
It's
all
just
the money they got. And
big fucking gold statues and shit.
Yeah.
What about feeding the poor? Yeah, it definitely got out of hand.
But and it's a perfect parallel to the Catholic Church.
They
that's
varied from the original mission statement, let's say, So, yeah.
I mean, there's so many, not to get too much into religion, but there's so many books that are just not included in the Bible. But that was on purpose. Because basically when Rome took in Catholicism, they're like, all right, so this is a big thing going on right now, so we might as well fucking convert, get rid of Jupiter and everything else.
Yeah.
And then we'll make a book of only the shit that we want in there, because this is going to be a propaganda tool.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Charlemagne got a group of people together. He called them the Council of Nicaea, and it's exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
They went through all the old texts and went, "We're like this one, and this one, and this one. That makes Jesus look bad. We'll leave that one out.
Yeah.
This is the Bible, or this is that original draft.
Yep.
But then it gets handed down through the ages, and it gets fucking translated a bunch of times.
Yep.
It turns into the King James Bible. It's not even the fucking same book anymore.
Right.
So
Because now it's everything is you're going to hell. So don't fucking fuck around, and this is how they controlled many nations.
yeah, and that's really what religion is.
Yeah.
It's a system of control, basically.
Yep.
But
And
So
that's how the Jedi are.
yeah.
So back to those books. Some people think with rumors and stuff like that those books are actually what Luke is saving from the burning of the temple or whatever.
That's why they look fucking. Oh, okay.
So they
Yeah,
look
yeah,
like
yeah.
they're a little burned and stuff. And
Yep. He pulled them out of that fucking.
So
wreckage.
that's
All right.
that's what people are connecting the two with. I don't know if that's
That makes sense. Yeah.
makes
It does,
sense.
it does.
As soon as you
So
said
like
it.
those are important enough to stay back and hide or whatever the case may be. That's essentially what it was.
Yeah, because I think the whole scene where we're confused because Luke's walking up and there's something on fire. I think that, fucking Ren came in and the Knights of Ren, they did all this, they wanted to burn all that crap or whatever. He saw that, went in, maybe something fell, and that's why you get the whole scene with his arm coming up and all that
They
shit.
dropped
'cause-
something onto him, and that's why he couldn't go balls out.
Right,
Luke
right.
Skywalker.
Right.
Maybe. Who knows, right?
So,
Huh.
I mean, that makes more sense. I'm hoping they do that.
Or it could have been like an underground library of all the ancient texts or something
Yeah.
that he was just hanging out with, and the ceiling fucking collapsed or something.
But you know that shit's ancient because it's It's books, it's paper. It's the first time paper has been in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, you've never seen it, yeah.
Yeah, so you know that shit's old.
And one thing that's, I forgot what, some article somewhere, they mentioned like that's the first time you see like wooden planks too. Like when he's punching out of the thing, it's like wooden planks is the first time you actually see that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Shit.
yeah, that's true.
So it's like
even picked up on that.
somewhere, somehow there was manufactured wood, like on some planet or ship or something, you know.
There's no wood in space. That's
No wood in
stupid.
space.
Stupid. Trees don't live in space.
They have metal trees. But yeah, I mean that's a good way to show how fucking old all that shit is. Books and wood and shit that you haven't seen. Yeah, I never even thought of that.